Chapter 1769, End of Conversation. You intend to exploit Yunduan's situation now? What were your earlier sentiments? Miss Fong sneered. You can't equate the two. There's a vast disparity between a cousin and a close kin. Moreover, if young Master Zhao isn't inclined, he isn't inclined. Yunduan lacks the authority to coerce him, so why intervene? I'm not disparaging Xiaoji, but is she truly suitable for young Master Zhao? Comparing her to our Tao Tao is laughable. Do you believe young Master Zhao is naive? I once thought you had a sensible mind, but your judgment seems clouded. Xiao Lulang felt his temper flare. One day, he vowed silent lie euro. He collected himself with a deep breath, forcing a smile. Elder aunt, your eloquence surpasses mine. I concede defeat. Let's refrain from discussing this further. I beseech elder aunt and uncle to attend to Xiaoda's welfare and arrange a suitable marriage for her. Please, fulfill my request. Regardless, Xiao Xiaoji had suffered humiliation due to this affair. Her matrimonial prospects might face hurdles. Naturally, she would marry eventually. It was inconceivable for Xiao family daughters not to wed. Indeed, even the singles of Xiaoding village were sought after. Xiao Lulang aspired for Xiao Xiaoji to wed into a prestigious household. Miss Fong nodded. Certainly, provided your parents' consent, numerous suitable matches abound. Indeed, it was the reality. Xiao Lulang, a euro, if Xiaoda's betrothal is arranged, elder aunt, ensure she stands proudly. A generous dowry will ensure her esteem in societe euro. Xiao Lulang, fearing misunderstanding, clarified his intentions to Miss Fong. He extended his hand to request her dowry. Miss Fong smiled and assented. Fear not, Xiaoji is my niece, and she shall receive her dowry. We can spare a few thousand taels of silver. However, convey to your parents the importance of avoiding further trouble and refraining from spreading rumors. Otherwise, they may find my door shut to them. Though the third branch of the family was somewhat deserving of repercussions, the engagement of Tao Tao and young Master Zhao would subject Xiao Xiaoji to ridicule. Miss Fong was inclined to extend her support to Xiao Xiaoji, even at the expense of the first branch of the family. Miss Fong would feel remorseful if Xiao Xiaoji faced mockery and jeopardized her marriage. For Miss Fong, it was a matter of karma, and she felt compelled to act. She couldn't simply ignore the negative consequences. Now that prosperity had visited the family, Xiao Xian had generously shared the family's wealth. Miss Fong could afford to provide Xiao Xiaoji with 1,000 or 2,000 taels of silver, fine jewelry, and quality attire. Xiao Lulang finally achieved a modicum of success with his request, prompting a sigh of relief. Oh, by the way, didn't young Master Zhao mention he was already betrothed? Why the sudden change? Aunt Qing, the emissary from Zhao Shu, clarified that it was a misunderstanding, and his previous family hadn't arranged any marriage for him. He was mistaken. However, even if there were no misunderstanding, he wouldn't marry Xiaoji. With nothing further to add, Xiao Lulang took his leave. Upon learning of the first branch's willingness to provide Xiao Xiaoji with a substantial dowry, third uncle and Madame Ma found some solace. Chapter 1770, Zhao Shu is here. However, the realization that they had missed out on a promising son-in-law like Zhao Shu and the significant financial loss incurred left them feeling that a mere 1,000 taels of silver was akin to tossing a coin to a beggar. Xiao Xiaoji hurriedly sought out Zhao Shu for clarification on the recent events. Upon hearing Xiao Lulang's account, she was momentarily stunned. Third uncle and Ms. Ma were incensed. Their conviction that the first branch of the family had acted deceitfully and capitalized on an opportunity grew stronger. It was evident to them that the first branch must have been aware of the misunderstanding long before but chose to withhold the information, clandestinely orchestrating the union of young Master Zhao and Tao Tao. Had they been informed earlier about young Master Zhao's misunderstanding, they would have undoubtedly contested it. With the basis for rejection eliminated, there was a high likelihood that young Master Zhao would have consented. The more third uncle and Ms. Ma deliberated, the more indignant they became. They were on the verge of storming over to the first branch of the family to confront them. Before they could act on their anger, Zhao Shu arrived the following day. Since their engagement bound them as family, Zhao Shu's outreach to his fiancée A.C.'s family was met with tacit acceptance. Zhao Shu was elated yet apprehensive. He specifically requested Aunt Qing's assistance in selecting attire and accessories, meticulously preparing himself before setting out with a plethora of gifts. This time, he could bestow gifts without reservation. A potent tool to win favor. As expected, the arrival of young Master Zhao in the village elicited jubilation from its residents. Even the children were ecstatic, surrounding the carriage as it entered the village, chanting joyfully, "Young Master Zhao is here. Young Master Zhao has arrived." Zhao Shu was well prepared for the occasion. He jovially interacted with the children, instructing Tongsun to fetch a large basket brimming with an assortment of treats: melon seeds, peanuts, sesame nougat, sweet osmanthus, sugar, dragon whiskers, mung bean cakes, pastries, and more. He distributed them to the eager children, who gleefully clamored for the snacks. "Easy now, there's plenty for everyone." Zhao Shu chuckled, urging them to visit the first branch of the family. "We've got it all." Upon arriving at the first branch of the family for the first time since the engagement, Zhao Shu adopted a more solemn demeanor. Upon seeing Miss Fong and eldest uncle, he couldn't help but feel a twinge of nervousness. Nonetheless, he bowed respectfully. Miss Fong, however, greeted him warmly, insisting there was no need for such formality. Miss Fong was exceedingly pleased with him, and now that he was her son-in-law, her satisfaction only deepened. She found him exemplary in every aspect and harbored no desire to make things difficult for him. Learning of his family's misfortune and his mother's premature passing only heightened her sympathy towards him. She ushered him inside, assigning Xiao Dalong and Xiao Sanlang to keep him company while Yang Xiaoni and Ms. Su attended to the meal preparations. As Tongsun and the other gifts were unloaded from the wagon, Miss Fong couldn't contain her joy, though she couldn't help but express concern over the expense. "How much money did this cost? We have an abundance at home, and with so many items, it'll be ages before we use them all. What if they go to waste or get damaged? Please refrain from such extravagance in the future." Zhao Shu reassured her with a chuckle. "It's just some tailored fabric, dry goods, seafood, and everyday necessities. Nothing to fret over." Meanwhile, Tao Tao had discreetly retreated to her modest courtyard. Concerned that she might harbor reservations or sadness about the marriage, the third section of the family intended to offer her solace. Chapter 1771, Talk Alone. Unexpectedly, Tao Tao realized that Zhao Shu wasn't to blame. It was the meddling of the third party that caused the issue. She harbored no ill will towards Zhao Shu and bore no grudge against their impending marriage. If anyone was to blame, it was the interference from the third party. Upon hearing that Zhao Shu was present and that their relationship had shifted, Tao Tao shyly avoided him. Zhao Shu had always been close to the first branch of the family, engaging in lively conversation with Xiao Sanlang. Xiao Dalong, though quieter, still contributed to the harmonious atmosphere. The three of them shared an amicable bond. As they waited, Zhao Shu's gaze wandered, and he politely inquired about Tao Tao, expressing his desire to speak with her. Xiao Dalong hesitated, while Xiao Sanlang, in his typical candid manner, interjected, "Shu, you wish to see Tao Tao? Well, that's not for us to decide. You should ask our mother." "Mother, if Shu wishes to speak with Tao Tao, what are your thoughts?" Zhao Shu felt a pang of embarrassment at the straightforwardness of his third brother-in-law. Quickly rising to his feet, Zhao Shu addressed Ms. Fong with a smile, "Mother-in-law, I simply haven't had the chance to catch up with Tao Tao, and I'd like to have a chat with her." Just theta Xiao Sanlang chimed in, "Mom, Tao Tao and Xiao Shu are engaged, they're family now. It's only natural for them to spend time together. After all, it was the way he and his wife had conducted their relationship." Miss Fong shot a disapproving glance at her son's bluntness and then turned to Zhao Shu with a warm smile. "Go ahead, Tao Tao is in her quarters. Have a chat with her. I'll call you when lunch is ready." Tao Tao was accompanied by two maids she had acquired the previous year, Xiangling and Xiangyue. Despite Zhao Shu not being particularly frivolous or rude, their engagement was a positive development, and Miss Fong saw no reason to intervene. It was her dense son who seemed oblivious to subtlety. Wouldn't he discreetly inform her? His loud outburst risked embarrassing their son-in-law. Concerned for Zhao Shu's feelings, Miss Fang attempted to console him. Zhao Shu was delighted by Miss Fang's acquiescence. He felt no embarrassment at all. Agreeing eagerly, he proceeded to engage in conversation with Tao Tao. Tao Tao, caught between embarrassment and happiness, found herself lost in contemplation as she gazed at the blooming peonies in the courtyard. Upon spotting Zhao Shu, her cheeks flushed, and though she instinctively wanted to retreat, the knowledge of their engagement held her back. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that meeting like this wasn't ideal, hesitating on whether to depart. Why don't they just leave? Zhao Shu's grin widened upon seeing her, his eyes alight with Tao Tao's presence. Advancing eagerly, he exclaimed, "Tao Tao." He. Finally relieved of restraint. His triumphant tone only deepened Tao Tao's blush. She shot him a reproachful glare and averted her gaze. Speak more politely. Of course. I'll be polite. Zhao Shu's happiness remained undiminished. He regarded Tao Tao with a tender smile, as though he would agree with whatever she said. Tao Tao felt even more self-conscious. This man, at least before, there was a veil of discretion. He had restrained himself, allowing only furtive glances. Though his keen observation always caught her, she could pretend not to notice. Chapter 1772, Great, he's floating now. He had been floating. Xiangling and Xiangyue stifled their amusement, exchanging glances before quietly slipping away. Zhao Shu inwardly praised their discretion, noting their keen perception. He resolved to reward them handsomely in the future. Exhaling with relief, he flashed a bright smile at Tao Tao. Though he had a plethora of thoughts swirling in his mind, he found himself at a loss for words, settling for a smile instead. Tao Tao patiently anticipated his words, but as the silence stretched on, she couldn't help but chuckle. Her laughter only fueled Zhao Shu's foolish grin. Tao Tao, we're engaged. Why, you're happy to marry me, right? Tao Tao fought back the urge to laugh out loud. Why was he stating the obvious? Of course, she was willing, they were already engaged. And asking such a question in public, Zhao Shu's heart raced with nervousness and insecurity. Fearing Tao Tao's reluctance, he hastened to reassure her, "Independent Illinois treat you well, I promise. Fifth brother made me swear. He won't let me off otherwise." Tao Tao's incredulous stare spoke volumes. To prevent further embarrassment, she interjected, "Is that all you have to say?" Her words instantly lifted Zhao Shu's spirits. "Oh, no. I have plenty to say, but am not sure where to begin. Let's take our time, he. It was as if fifth brother would not let him off. It was a matter of great pride for him. Tao Tao, she couldn't let him continue talking alone, or God knew what else he would say. You only have these words? As soon as Tao Tao spoke, Zhao Shu immediately became happy. Of course not. I have so many things to say, but I don't know which one to say. There's still a long way to go. Let's talk slowly, he. Tao Tao erupted into laughter, her cheeks flushing pink. Just as Zhao Shu assumed she wouldn't respond, she spoke softly, "That's right, there's still much ahead for us. We, let's stay together. Tao Tao, I've wanted to tell you this for so long. Just the thought of having you by my side fills me with joy. You and your family are wonderful. Meeting you feels like I've used up all the luck of my life." Tao Tao's heart swelled with sweetness, her eyes glistening with emotion. She gazed up at him, smiling. "You're quite the smooth talker." "No, I mean every word from the depths of my heart. I swear." Zhao Shu's heart warmed at the sight of her smile. He reached out to hold her hand. "I'll stay a while longer. You can't escape me now." Tao Tao instinctively attempted to pull away, but unable to break free, she relented, allowing him to hold her hand. As she prepared to respond, a shrill female voice pierced the air. "Tao Tao. What do you think you're doing?" Startled, Cao Cao struggled to free her hand from Zhao Shu's grasp. Her hand slipped away like a nimble fish, leaving Zhao Shu feeling regretful. He shot a glare at the newcomer. Xiao Xiaoji, who had slipped in unnoticed, approached eagerly, her eyes alight. Young Master Zhao. The shyness on Cao Cao's face faded, replaced by a cold gaze as she remained silent. Instinctively, Zhao Shu stepped in front of Cao Cao, eyeing Xiao Xiaoji warily. Who are you? Do I know you well? I Euro, Xiao Xiaoji hastily interjected, Im Xiao Xiaoji, young Master Zhao. We've discussed marriage, we Euro, hey, don't talk nonsense. Don't tarnish my name. I've never discussed marriage with you. Chapter 1773, she would not give up. Zhao Shu seethed with anger. True, he lacked parents, but his wealth and vast network of subordinates should have deterred any notion of bullying him. What arrogance led these individuals to believe he was an easy target, free for exploitation? Mrs. Liu, the patriarch's wife, and even a rural girl embodied this audacity. Unexpectedly, Xiao Ziotis' words ignited Zhao Shu's emotions. Let her speak, Cao Cao gently intervened, tugging at Zhao Shu's sleeve. Though her tone was soft, it carried an icy edge. She's here now. She won't relent until she's made her intentions clear. Observing Cao Cao's understanding, Zhao Shu's demeanor softened. No longer rushed, he nodded, conceding, very well. Yet, Xiao Ziotis' jealousy surged as she witnessed Zhao Shu's compliance with Cao Cao, their closeness stoking her resentment. Spewing her words with anger, she accused, young Master Zhao, don't be deceived by Cao Cao. Their family is deceitful. During our marriage discussions, I pleaded for Cao Cao's assistance, but she refused. Yet, she clandestinely ensnared you behind my back. What's admirable about someone who steals her cousin's beloved? Even elder and orchestrated against us, concealing your family's faults while scheming behind our backs. Young Master Zhao, their cunning knows no bounds. Do not fear fifth cousin. My brother surpasses him in power. He'll ascend to intermediate primus and secure high office. With him, there's nothing to fear. Zhao Shu erupted, are you bereft of reason? Fantasies require treatment. Your brother's prowess demands examination. Euro, perhaps a physician can discern your affliction. I reject any notion of discussing marriage with you. My discernment isn't that poor. Numerous suitors seek my hand, yet I've solely considered Cao Cao. From start to finish, she's been the only one I've desired. Since there's been a misunderstanding, allow me to clarify. Our clan has never orchestrated a marriage agreement for me. This was intentional, not an oversight. I mentioned it to dispel any misguided notions. My words were meant to preserve the dignity of my in-laws and Cao Cao. After all, we're kin, aren't we? I hadn't anticipated that my attempt to save face would be misconstrued. Had I known, I would have rebutted your claims outright. Listen closely now. I've never entertained the idea of marriage with your familiar Euro, never. Refrain from tarnishing Cao Cao and my mother-in-law's reputation. Otherwise, I won't hesitate to respond firmly. Xiao Xiaoji appeared thunderstruck. Her eyes widened, complexion paled. She shook her head rigidly. No, that can't be. It's impossibly Euro. You treated me kindly, smiled at me, even shielded me from those unruly children. Euro, how could you Euro? It must be Cao Cao, right? She deliberately lured you away, enticed you. You were interested in me initially. I despise her, loathe her to the core. Chapter 1774, Zhao Shu is extremely depressed. Cao Cao cast a glance at him. Zhao Shu hastily grasped Cao Cao's hand. What's happening, Cao Cao? Please, don't believe this. Why is everything you're saying so incomprehensible? It's absurd. In this village, who do I interact with that doesn't wear a smile or extend kindness? When did I ever appear stern, as if collecting debts? I have no recollection of instructing children to avoid bumping into you. This is all baseless fabrication. Moreover, Cao Cao is an exceptional person. You're unjustly defaming her. It's evident your character lacks integrity. Xiao Xiaoji grew increasingly agitated, her words pouring forth, until Zhao Shu finally pieced together the situation, rendered speechless. So, you've truly misconstrued. Those children were merely playing around with me. I cautioned them to be careful, as one would in a crowd, without singling anyone out, least of all you. Your accusations are unfounded. Zhao Shu felt profoundly disheartened. His demeanor had always been consistent, a smile on his face, engaging in cheerful conversation with others, his kindness genuine and selfless. Yet, he was no pushover, no dispenser of unwarranted mercy. Prior to Xiao Xiaoji, no one had misconceived his intentions. Perplexed, he couldn't fathom why she would leap to such conclusions when nothing had changed. He had remained true to himself. How could he have known? Xiao Zioda's understanding was limited, buoyed by her belief in her brother's prowess as an intermediate primus. This confidence emboldened her to entertain any possibility. Then, Zhao Shu entered the picture. Her arrival, demeanor, words, actions, even her lineage, stirred something within her. She believed she could make it happen. Viewing everything through her preconceptions, she naturally veered towards her predetermined narrative. The more she dwelled on it, the more convinced she became. From Zhao Shu's perspective, his conduct was unremarkable, a product of his upbringing. However, in Xiao Zioda's eyes, it took on an entirely different hue. Xiao Xiaoji was convinced that their interactions held a special significance, exclusive to her. She firmly believed she was unique. Why else would a wealthy young man like him extend such gentleness and smiles toward her? In the days before the Xiao family's ascent to affluence, when Zhao Shu was still the scion of a rural landlord, he wouldn't have spared them a glance. Yet, Zhao Shu's flustered and exasperated explanation dealt a devastating blow to Xiao Xiaoji. Her heart felt as though it had been dealt a heavy blow, her complexion paling further as her inner world crumbled. I refuse to accept it, I refuse, she cried, vehemently shaking her head. You weren't like this before. I didn't misinterpret. Tao Tao must have ensnared you. Her honeyed words beguiled you into this state. You weren't like this before, you weren't. Zhao Shu choked on his words. You ought to have your brother find you a competent physician. You need a thorough examination of your faculties. I may not know what afflicts me, but you seem quite certain. Preposterous. You're unhinged. Fury ignited within Zhao Shu. Suddenly, Mrs. Lu didn't seem so vexing anymore. At least Mrs. Lu wasn't deranged. This individual, however, was truly unhinged. Even Tao Tao was taken aback. She had anticipated that a direct conversation between Xiao Xiaoji and Zhao Shu would clarify matters. Yet, she hadn't anticipated such entrenched stubbornness. Regardless of the evidence presented, Xiao Xiaoji remained steadfast in her delusions. Chapter 1775. Believing in what they chose to believe, she operated on her own distinct brand of logic and reasoning, staunchly adhering to her beliefs regardless of their validity. In that case, there's little more to discuss, Tao Tao remarked, her gaze lingering on Xiao Xiaoji. Your stubbornness is truly unexpected, but you've overlooked something crucial. Reality remains unchanged, irrespective of your perceptions. Do you truly believe that Zhao Shu's affection for you hinges on being enchanted by me? If so, you sorely underestimate him. He's not easily swayed by others, and I've no inclination to manipulate him. I am betrothed to Zhao Shu. Even without that, he wouldn't choose you over me. He has myriad options. Who do you think you compare to? You've had your say today. It's up to you to reflect. Should you persist in your obstinacy, no one can sway you. Ultimately, you've brought this upon yourself. Initially hesitant to speak so bluntly, Tao Tao had underestimated Xiao Zioda's resolve, or rather, she hadn't comprehended the depth of her stubbornness in this matter. Despite the clarity provided, Xiao Xiaoji remained entrenched in her beliefs. Xiao Xiaoji could endure whatever Zhao Shu articulated, she would remain unconvinced regardless. Instead, she maintained that Zhao Shu had succumbed to Tao Tao's influence. However, Tao Tao's words were intolerable to Xiao Xiaoji. Enough. Xiao Ziota's resentful glare bore into Tao Tao as she erupted. Why did you steal young Master Zhao from me? Why? You know full well of my feelings for him. You have plenty of options. Why him? Instinctively, Zhao Shu enveloped Tao Tao in a protective embrace. I was the one who proposed to Tao Tao. Please understand. And, I implore you, cease professing affection for me. That wasn't my intention. I swear by all that's sacred, shall I make an oath to prove it to you? Tao Tao interjected, what's meant for you, I cannot take. What isn't, no matter how you delude yourself, won't materialize. Xiao Xiaoji, if you persist in your fantasies, no one can dissuade you. But you cannot compel others to join you in your reverie. Get someone to escort her out, Zhao Shu muttered, feeling an unprecedented urge to lash out physically. There's no reasoning with her. Let's expedite our marriage, all right? Once we're wed, we can distance ourselves from her. Out of sight, out of mind. With a resounding crash, something within Xiao Xiaoji shattered. A sharp pain gripped her heart, and unable to contain her emotions any longer, she fled, tears streaming down her face. Breathing a sigh of relief, Zhao Shu muttered, this situation was getting out of hand. Thankfully, they're finally gone. Tao Tao shot him a glance, causing him to squirm nervously. Hastily, he clasped her hand, pleading, Tao Tao, please believe me. I have no ulterior motives towards her. I see only you, no one else. Euro Tao Tao chuckled softly, remarking, but you've inadvertently misled her. Choking back a retort, Zhao Shu pondered for a moment before blurting out, maybe I should be more assertive in my interactions, especially with women? No, scratch theta Euro, I'll avoid interactions with women altogether, except for you. What nonsense is that? Tao Tao couldn't help but laugh, tears of amusement glistening in her eyes. I was jesting. Why be so rigid and petty? This isn't your fault. She's the one who chose to misconstrue things, to fixate on a dead end. There's no one to blame but her. You shouldn't change a thing because of her. That wouldn't be fair. Chapter 1776, asking, I'm not aggrieved. Since you've said so, what do I have to feel aggrieved about? Zhao Shu smiled brightly again. He was so easily happy. The awkward and stiff atmosphere between the two of them disappeared, and they became closer. The two of them conversed at length, and Tao Tao eventually smiled and sighed. Let's step out. Xiao Xiaoji paid a visit. I fear my third uncle and third aunt-in-law might stir up trouble again. We should confer with mother, brother, and sister-in-law beforehand, just so they're aware of the potential repercussions should third uncle and third aunt-in-law show up. Absolutely, it's wise to be proactive. Zhao Shu nodded earnestly before lowering his voice. I'm deeply sorry for causing such turmoil. No. Tao Tao shook her head. You're not to blame. It's inconsequential. We needn't dwell on it. Zhao Shu chuckled. Fair point. As they approached the main room, Ms. Fong emerged, questioning, why did I hear Ji crying outside? When did she arrive? Did she seek you out? What transpired? Now was the time to set the record straight. Tao Tao recounted the entire encounter in meticulous detail, while Zhao Shu seized every opportunity to reaffirm his stance and intentions. Listening intently, Ms. Fong oscillated between annoyance and amusement. However, mindful of Zhao Shu's presence, she refrained from commenting further, instead offering a placating smile. That family is notorious for their penchant for discord, always finding fault in trifles. I understand now. You needn't worry, nor take them seriously. Tao Tao smiled graciously. Of course, I'll heed your advice. I knew I could rely on you. With a chuckle, Miss Fong suggested, feel free to relax in the room or venture into the back garden to gather some seasonal fruits. We have an abundance of delicious options, including strawberries, loquats, plums, bayberries, and dragon fruits. All right, well go now. Zhao Shu chuckled. The fruits from my mother-in-law's fruit tree are the sweetest. They're even better than those from other places. Miss Fong was also amused. Pick more and eat more. Okay. Observing the departure of Zhao Shu and Tao Tao alongside the maidservant, Miss Fang's lips curled into a sneer. Summoning Ms. Su and Yang Xiaoni, she gathered Chunyu and the other maids before marching straight to the third section of the family. Aware of the situation, she couldn't afford to remain idle at home, awaiting the arrival of Ms. Ma and third uncle. Thankfully, Zhao Shu possessed a magnanimous spirit and genuinely cherished Tao Tao. Otherwise, if it were anyone else, how could they not recoil in disgust and discomfort from such circumstances? This issue gnawed at her, a thorn poised to ignite at any moment in the future. What repercussions might it entail for Tao Tao? Did Xiao Xiaoji truly believe she could demand reparation for her dowry? Did she expect the first section of the family to serve as a source of pride for her? Absurd fantasies. Upon learning of Zhao Shu's presence, how could Xiao Xiaoji remain passive? She proved herself to be more sinister and malevolent than her parents. Seething with anger, they casually insinuated that the first section of the family recognized the error of Zhao Shu's marriage and clandestinely intervened. However, Xiao Xiaoji was convinced of this narrative. In her mind, had she been aware of the mistake, she would have implored her parents to reconsider the marriage with Zhao Shu. It could have been rectified long ago. How dare Tao Tao preempt her? To Xiao Xiaoji, Tao Tao's actions were contemptible and audacious. She vowed to expose her. Thus, she clandestinely made her way to the first section of the family to confront Zhao Shu. To her astonishment, she stumbled upon Zhao Shu and Tao Tao engaged in intimate conversation, fueling her envy further. Was this how Tao Tao ensnared young Master Zhao? Young Master Zhao was evidently spellbound by her, reduced to this state. Chapter 1777, following however, she never anticipated that their argument would leave her heart shattered. Tears streaming down her face, she dashed back and poured out her grievances to Ms. Ma. Ms. Ma was in the midst of reprimanding her when Ms. Fong stormed Inayuro with disdain etched on her face. Ms. Fong declared, if the third branch persists in causing trouble, well, sever the engagement with them, regardless of the consequences. Ms. Ma, too exasperated to contend with Ms. Fang's ire, attempted to console Xiao Xiaoji. She assured her that once her brother ascended to the position of primus, he would procure a husband for her far superior to young Master Zhao. After all, young Master Zhao was merely a businessman Euro, nothing more. She implored her brother to secure a high-ranking official as Xiao Zioda's spouse. But Xiao Xiaoji only wept. She harbored affection for young Master Zhao. Before Tao Tao ensnared him, young Master Zhao had been genuinely kind to her. It was all because of Tao Tao. How could she reconcile with that? Xiao Xiaoji remained unconvinced. In her heart, she cursed Tao Tao countless times, yet fear of Ms. Fong held her back from taking any action. This was her reality. A naive village girl consumed by hatred, lacking the cunning to execute her schemes. To retaliate against Tao Tao, she needed to be cunning and resourceful. However, Tao Tao always had people around her, and the first section of the family harbored no warmth toward Xiao Xiaoji. Finding an opportunity to harm Tao Tao was no easy feat. Furthermore, the fallout from their dispute prompted heightened security at the first section of the family, thwarting any chance for Xiao Xiaoji to retaliate. Moreover, she was too ashamed to attempt it. The words of young Master Zhao had wounded her deeply. Zhao Shu strolled alongside Tao Tao through the flower field, the cassava field, and the orchard. Unbeknownst to them, Xiao Xiaoji trailed behind, her eyes brimming with emotion. Though Zhao Shu and Tao Tao were aware of her presence, they feigned ignorance. In a village where everyone freely traversed the roads, why should they shun Xiao Xiaoji? Why not extend a greeting and invite her to join them? Yet, Zhao Shu harbored concerns that Xiao Xiaoji might pose a threat to Tao Tao's well-being. Hence, he instructed Tongzhen and Tongli to shadow them, ensuring Xiao Xiaoji kept her distance. Xiao Xiaoji quickly discerned their vigilance, deepening her resentment and sorrow. Had Tao Tao truly ensnared young Master Zhao to such an extent? Had he truly forsaken their past connection? Yet, she couldn't bring herself to believe it, swiftly dismissing such thoughts. Word of Xiao Ziota's clandestine pursuit spread throughout the village, spawning unsavory rumors. Some sighed in sympathy, others mocked her, and a few even approached Ms. Ma, urging her to intervene. But what was the use? Their engagement had already been sealed. Interfering now would only invite ridicule. Besides, young Master Zhao was hardly a suitable match for the daughter of a wealthy family in Heshan County. The prospect was entertained solely due to Lord Xiao and young Master Zhao's camaraderie, not out of merit. Why must she endure such hardships? Their compatibility had always been in question. Xiaozhi paled in comparison to Tao Tao. While Lord Xiao held an official position, Tao Tao was the legitimate daughter of an official. Xiao Lulang had yet to achieve the status of a high scholar. Moreover, Tao Tao surpassed Xiaozhi in every aspect. Initially indifferent, Ms. Ma entertained hopes that Xiaozhi would cause a scene. Even if it ended poorly, she couldn't simply let it slide. However, concerns arose that Xiao Lulang might be affected, prompting Ms. Ma to rein in her actions. Meanwhile, Xiaozhi wept profusely. Chapter 1778, Zhao Shu's Rage. On this day, Zhao Shu accompanied Tao Tao to Zhang village. As they approached, Xiaozhi abruptly dashed out, dropping to her knees in front of their carriage. Tears streamed down her face as she implored Tao Tao to grant her request. Whether her idea was spontaneous or influenced by someone else remained unclear. Yet, amidst her tears and pleas, she didn't beg for young Master Zhao's return. Instead, she beseeched Tao Tao to accept her as a concubine. Her declaration left everyone stunned. Tao Tao, Zhao Shu, Aunt Qing, Xiangling, Tongzhen, and the onlookers from the village were all rendered speechless. Unable to contain himself, Zhao Shu erupted in anger. Are you quite finished? What of your family? Do you have any regard for them? Do you truly believe I'm one to be trifled with? If I were to truly lose my temper, I could make life very difficult for your kin. Your brother still aspires to the civil service, does he not? Well, if he dares to irk me further, he can forget about it. I'll ensure he never sets foot in the bureaucracy. Upon hearing the news, Ms. Ma and third uncle intended to intervene. However, upon catching wind of Zhao Shu's threats, they hastened to the scene. With a fierce glare, Zhao Shu lashed out at them. You two cowards! Are you too spineless to defend your own honor? Deal with this shameless wretch swiftly, or I'll do it myself. I'll gladly compensate you after I've given him a taste of my whip. Ms. Ma's face darkened as she directed her ire towards Tao Tao. How can you stand by and allow this to happen to your cousin? You're heartless. Silence. Zhao Shu's whip cracked, eliciting a cry of pain from Ms. Ma. Dare to bully Tao Tao in my presence? Do you have a death wish? You came seeking trouble, yet have the gall to accuse others of bullying? Tao Tao intervened, his voice cold. Xiaozhi has clearly lost her senses. Keep a close eye on her, third aunt-in-law, and spare yourself the embarrassment. Anyone can see if I've wronged her. If I were truly malicious, you wouldn't even dare speak up. Your words only prove my leniency. Or are you tempting fate with your accusations? Tao Tao's words only fueled Ms. Ma's fury. The villagers had never witnessed Zhao Shu lose his temper before, they had always regarded him as even-tempered. Seeing him now, their hearts raced with an unexplained fear. He was a young master hailing from a wealthy family in Jiangnan. While he could be amiable when pleased, it was foolish to assume he lacked a temper. He possessed both the means and the confidence to assert himself. With his confidence came the power to potentially ruin the Xiao family. Standing to Ms. Ma and third uncle, shocked and enraged, found themselves unnerved without cause. Even Xiaozhi appeared taken aback. Through clenched teeth, third uncle retorted, "Stop bluffing. Do you think there's no law here?" Zhao Shu smirked. Naturally, I uphold the laws of the great Qin Empire. Care to test me? With a mere utterance, I could ensure your family suffers a fate worse than death, all within the Empire's legal bounds. Would you like to try me? Third uncle fell silent, his fear palpable. Deep down, he knew it to be true. Yet, he dared not tempt fate. He wouldn't have dared to provoke even a minor landlord in a neighboring village, let alone someone of Zhao Shu's stature. Aunt Qing cast a glance at the gathered crowd. Nothing to see here. Scatter, scatter. Tongs Hun, quickly, get the carriage ready. Chapter 1779. It worked. Zhao Shu shot third uncle a frigid glare, his voice dripping with disdain. You're overestimating yourself. I've extended courtesy, but you refuse it. I won't bother anymore. Who do you think you are? Your attempts to repulse me are futile. You're unworthy. With that, the carriage departed. Third uncle and his family were seething with rage, their legs trembling, while Xiao Zioda's eyes bulged in disbelief. How could this happen? Young Master Zhao, how could he be so formidable? How could he regard me with such contempt? Xiao Xiaoji couldn't quite articulate it, but under Zhao Shu's gaze, she felt an inexplicable sense of inadequacy. It was as if she didn't deserve to stand before him, as if she were an unwelcome presence. Forget discussing marriage or becoming a concubine, at that moment, she couldn't even fathom the idea of thinking about him. Xiao Xiaoji sobbed uncontrollably, her hands covering her face in anguish. Ms. Ma, fuming with indignation, forcefully escorted Xiao Xiaoji and third uncle away from the scene. Xiao Lulang seethed with rage upon learning of the incident. What a disgrace! Look after Xiaoji. Don't let her leave the house again, he commanded. Ms. Ma and third uncle remained silent, the weight of the humiliation heavy upon them. They exchanged defeated glances, realizing the gravity of the situation. Zhao Shu's intimidating gaze and haughty demeanor had left them truly shaken. It was in that moment that they comprehended, young Master Zhao belonged to a different sphere altogether. Recalling how they had presumed a level playing field with him, they couldn't help but feel a twinge of fear creeping in. This was the conduct befitting a young master from a wealthy lineage. Where did they find the audacity to treat him with such disrespect before Xiao Xiaoji was equally shaken. It was only now that she realized the truth in his words. She retreated to her room, consumed by bitter tears. Amidst her sorrow, resentment crept in. Why couldn't her brother have attained a higher position, like an intermediate recommended man or a prima scholar? If it had been him instead of Xiao Yunduan, would everything have unfolded differently? Would she not have felt so unworthy in front of young Master Zhao? It was all her brother's fault for being ineffectual. Tao Tao hadn't anticipated Zhao Shu's intensity this time. Yet, in the blink of an eye, Zhao Shu cast a nervous glance her way, his smile cautious. Tao Tao, I hope I didn't scare you. I'm sorry. I just couldn't contain myself. I won't treat you like that, I promise. I'll heed your words. Tao Tao couldn't help but chuckle, the tension dissipating instantly. No need to apologize. It's a good thing if you can put them in their place. If Xiaoji keeps causing trouble, who knows what might happen. Continuing like this would only bring disgrace upon their family. They couldn't afford to let it slide, lest they become a laughingstock. Zhao Shu breathed a sigh of relief, his smile brightening. That's reassuring. Observing his genuine smile and sincere gaze, Tao Tao sighed inwardly. Perhaps this was the lot of every Yoni, as long as he treated her well, it sufficed. Regardless of his interactions with others, it wasn't her concern. Zhao Shu's firmness proved effective. The opposition immediately wilted, surrendering like a quail. In mid-June, Zhao Shufang and Tao Tao bid farewell, hastening back to Jiangnan to oversee their business affairs. They also made a brief visit to the capital. Chapter 1780. The couple eliminates bad luck. Zhao Shu didn't have much business in the capital, but he intended to assist Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan with anything they might need help with. He also aimed to gather information about the city. Xiao Yunduan had cautioned him against mingling with the nobility to inquire about court matters or about the crown prince and other princes. Zhao Shu kept this in mind, but he had no qualms about seeking information on other topics. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian resided in a place like An's province, thus lacking extensive knowledge of the capital's affairs. Given Xiao Yunduan's sensitivity, probing into the capital's intermediate matters could have dire consequences if discovered. Yet, Zhao Shu had little to fear. It was more beneficial for him to learn about the situation and share it with them than to remain ignorant. Back in Xiaoding village, Xiao Lulang participated in this year's examination as planned. Perhaps fueled by the provocation he had faced, his diligence finally paid off. He emerged as a recommended man in the fall quarter examinations. Though he didn't surpass Xiao Yunduan, who still remained at the bottom of the rankings, reaching this advanced level was an achievement worth celebrating. The villagers of Xiaoding village looked on with envy. The Xiao family's fortune seemed boundless. They already boasted a primus in Lord Xiao, and now a recommended man. Third uncle and Ms. Ma were brimming with motivation. Their smiles stretched wide, radiating pride that seemed to touch the sky. The couple banished the ill luck of the past days, praising Xiao Lulang as if his rise to an intermediate advanced scholar and eventual government official was a foregone conclusion. They even hinted that Xiao Lulang would navigate the capital's political circles with finesse, ensuring success and avoiding any conflicts with the nobility, implying a contrast with Xiao Yunduan. When the villagers offered their congratulations and expressed envy, third uncle and Ms. Ma made sure to include Xiao Yunduan in the celebrations. Yet, there lingered a slight dissatisfaction in their hearts, as they only elevated Xiao Yunduan to the status of primus while lauding their Lulang as a recommended man. So what if Xiao Yunduan held the title of primus? If he could achieve it, then Lulang certainly could too. Previously, Lulang had just faced a bit of bad luck. Therefore, when showcasing her son's accomplishments, she felt the need to subtly undermine Xiao Yunduan. Miss Fong sneered upon hearing the news. She refused to let her family stoop to their level. This is laughable. Let them revel in their arrogance. They're merely deluding themselves. I wonder how they'll come crashing down in the future. A recommended man who ranks third from the bottom in Yuzhang, aspiring to become an advanced scholar and even dream of reaching the intermediate primus status? What a joke. Despite Ms. Ma and third uncle's determination to hold a grand banquet to celebrate, Miss Fong refused to lend her support. When she pressed Ms. Ma and third uncle about Xiao Yunduan's earlier remarks, they found themselves too embarrassed to offer any rebuttal. Deep down, they couldn't shake off the feeling that the villagers were intentionally comparing Xiao Yunduan unfavorably to Xiao Lulang. The numerous sarcastic comments only fueled their doubts. Rendering Ms. Ma and third uncle speechless, Ms. Fong remarked with a smile, "I pity my son. Why would you undermine him while supposedly supporting him? You trample on my son's achievements and then expect me to finance a celebration for yours? Do you think I'm foolish or easy to bully, Ms. Ma, third brother?" Chapter 1781, Don't go. Let me make this clear. You're not allowed to meddle in this affair either. If you dare to intervene, believe me, I can rally enough people to turn the tables at the banquet. Ms. Ma and third uncle seethed with indignation. Annoyed, Ms. Ma retorted, "I was just talking casually, it's not that big of a deal. My words have no bearing on Wulong's situation. Sister-in-law, you're being petty and overly serious. Besides, when Wulong passed the exam and Lulang didn't make it to intermediate, you all mocked us. Why should we bother arguing with you?" Third uncle chimed in, nodding in agreement. Exactly. We couldn't care less, so why are you so bothered? Miss Fong sneered. Stop twisting the truth. I distinctly remember you all saying that Yunduan only lucked into his intermediate recommendation and isn't as capable as your Lulang. The recollection incensed Miss Fong. Enough. Keep spewing lies, and I won't hold back. Don't think Lulang's recommendation gives you any power over us. My Yunduan is a prefect, and you're still wet behind the ears. Third uncle interjected furiously, all right, I get it now. You're just envious. This is nothing but wounded pride. Humph. We extended an olive branch in goodwill, offering you an opportunity. If you're not interested, forget it. And when our Lulang achieves success in the future, don't even think about seeking his help. Exactly. If you think we can't afford a banquet, think again. Not only will we hold it, but we'll make it a grand affair. That's right. Since you're acting like this, don't bother coming to the banquet. Ms. Ma refused to let the first branch of the family enjoy the banquet she had prepared. Perfect. Miss Fong remarked with a smirk. I couldn't care less. I won't attend either way. You can apologize to me first and then extend an invitation. Otherwise, count me out of all your events. Third uncle and Ms. Ma grew even more incensed. She still expected an apology? This sister-in-law was truly living in a dream. Young Xiaomi couldn't help but inquire, Mother, if we skip out on these noodles, does that mean we can skip the gift-giving too? Miss Fong shot a pleased glance at young Xiaomi. Despite her simple nature, she had a knack for shrewd conversation. Absolutely. You won't see a single coin from me. Young Xiaomi chuckled. Oh, what a silly question I asked. Of course, of course, of course. Third uncle and Ms. Ma were taken aback. They exchanged anxious glances. As thick-skinned as Ms. Ma was, she couldn't retract her statement. Refusing to provide the gift money? Unthinkable. Everyone knew the first branch of the family was affluent, and their familial ties demanded generosity, if not more. Their bravado waned instantly. They dared not utter another word and departed crestfallen. Xiao Lulang had been swamped with engagements lately, attending one banquet after another. Upon returning to the village, he overheard some troubling chatter. Incensed, he reprimanded third uncle and Ms. Ma. As a recommended man now, he grasped the importance of maintaining good relations with Xiao Yunduan, particularly until he secured an intermediate advanced scholar position and established himself in the capital. Cultivating a favorable rapport with Xiao Yunduan was imperative. In the bureaucratic realm, connections and patronage were paramount. Even if Xiao Yunduan were ousted from the capital, had still retained some influential ties in the intermediate circles. Chapter 1782, he knows to bear with it. He had already made up his mind. Upon entering the capital, he could either leverage Xiao Yunduan's connections to cultivate relationships with officials, or he could choose to switch sides and align himself with those who had a bone to pick with Xiao Yunduan. Either way, Xiao Yunduan was a factor he had to contend with. Didn't he understand that the first branch of the family was despicable, and Xiao Yunduan was despicable too? Didn't he realize that he would eventually settle the score with them? But was now the time to provoke them? His parents were utterly inept. He wasn't inherently conniving, but he had a penchant for stirring up trouble repeatedly. He was reckless and frivolous. If it weren't for the fact that traditional mourning customs mandated 3 years of mourning for either of them, he might even wish for their demi-euro, just to rid himself of the entanglement. Listen up, both of you. I'll say this only once. Do not go provoke the first branch of the family again. If you can't control your tongue, then keep it still. I won't tolerate a repeat of this, do you understand? Xiao Lulang thundered at third uncle and Ms. Ma. His parents were taken aback. Why, Lulang, why are you siding with the first branch of the family? That's right. Aren't we doing this for your own good? How many recommended men do you think our village produces? Look at how capable you are, Lulang. They're just jealous and resentful. We can't afford to stoop to their level. What was Xiao Yunduan capable of? He was merely lucky, otherwise, he would have been ousted from the capital. Useless. If it were his son, such a debacle would never occur. Xiao Lulang felt aggrieved at these remarks. It wasn't just in the village, even when he ventured out as a guest, the conversation inevitably steered toward the primus and him. As a recommended man, he felt stifled. The happiness he should have felt was marred by resentment. But what other choice did he have? Could he silence everyone and halt their chatter? Moreover, he had to maintain the facade of a cordial relationship with Xiao Yunduan, despite enduring the envious glances directed his way for having a cousin who was the primus. Wasn't he deeply aggrieved? Yet, he begrudgingly acknowledged that he received more praise, flattery, and conveniences because of this association. It was utterly vexing and intolerable. His pride prevented him from admitting to his parents that he needed Xiao Yunduan's support at this stage. Thus, he could only issue a cold order to them. I know what I need to do. Cease your actions, or you'll disrupt my plans. Are we clear? Third uncle and Ms. Ma were taken aback, shaking their heads vigorously. Yes, we understand. We understand now. That's right, we promise not to meddle anymore. Well, refrain from any further actions. Concerned, Xiao Lulang continued to admonish them sternly, his expression icy. With the banquet looming, a representative from the first branch of the family was expected to attend. If he didn't, how could Xiao Lulang secure Xiao Yunduan's assistance? Xiao Lulang went to the first branch of the family to offer apologies on behalf of his parents. Miss Fong and Xiao Sanlang harbored a strong dislike for the third branch, but they understood the necessity of civility. They didn't want people to insinuate that Xiao Yunduan had become affluent and now held his family in contempt. As Xiao Lulang apologized, Miss Fong delivered a lecture akin to that of an elder. Xiao Lulang gritted his teeth and listened attentively. Chapter 1783, A Family of Muddles. The situation had concluded, or so they thought. However, at the banquet, while the gifts from the first branch of the family appeared impressive, they lacked practicality, and the monetary contributions were meager. The grand plan of the third branch to accumulate wealth during the event had floundered. Following the banquet, Xiao Lulang focused on preparing for the upcoming spring quarter examination. Successive matchmakers arrived at Xiao Zioda's doorstep with marriage proposals. Miss Fong identified 2 or 3 families that seemed suitable for Xiao Xiaoji, yet both Ms. Ma and third uncle adamantly rejected them all. Were they incapable of polite refusal? Their haughty demeanor seemed to suggest they could control the heavens, dismissing proposals as if they were beneath their notice. To make matters worse, they flaunted this behavior in the village. Xiao Xiaoji proved no exception to the family's pride. She displayed the same arrogance as her parents. Even the loss of her admirer to Tao Tao failed to elicit much sorrow or indignation from her. No matter young Master Zhao's virtues, he remained a mere businessman. Once her brother attained official status, she planned to marry into officialdom herself, leaving Tao Tao far behind. Miss Fong sighed in frustration. She utilized the missteps of the third branch as cautionary tales for her own children and in-laws. They needed to recognize their limitations and avoid frivolity that could tarnish their standing. When discussing marriage in the future, they must consider their children's prospects carefully. Underestimating Xiao Yunduan's worth could lead to marrying into an unsuitable family, bringing untold difficulties. Marriage into a prominent family involved navigating a web of elders, relatives, friends, sisters-in-law, and brothers-in-law, as well as managing various household staff. A wife of an official must adeptly navigate bureaucratic social circles, lest she become a laughingstock. Failing to do so could strain her husband's position and their relationship, rendering her life untenable. How could it be so simply? How could someone like Xiao Xiaoji end up as the wife of an official? To be frank, Zhao Shu's family was exceedingly humble. If Zhao Shu were just an official and not from a prominent family like the Yuzhangs, she would never have consented to his union with Tao Tao. Her daughter was merely a rustic girl. Her circumstances improved only because of her brother and sister-in-law. Nonetheless, it was inconceivable for her to marry into such a prestigious household. Miss Su had harbored hopes of her daughter, Xiao Qing, marrying into an official's family once she came of age. She even dared to dream about an alliance with the third branch of the family. But upon hearing Miss Fang's remarks, she abandoned the idea. Perhaps it wouldn't be a bad idea for her daughter to wed a merchant or a country gentleman. In late July, Xiao Yunduan received a missive from home and perused it alongside Xiao Xian. All was well back home, with various businesses flourishing. Though the flowers in the field weren't as vibrant as before, the Zhang family's tea-house production had slightly diminished, and the orchard's fruit yield was slightly lower. Overall, everything remained steady. No significant changes were apparent. Xiao Xian breathed a sigh of relief inwardly. This indicated that her abilities had subtly influenced the plants, optimizing their growth to a degree. As long as the soil and water conditions were suitable and managed properly, yields would remain consistent, a marked improvement over those without such abilities. She felt reassured. After all, it was impractical for her to traverse the world multiple times a year solely for this matter. In this era, transportation was arduous, making such journeys challenging. Chapter 1784, delivered. She would conduct her rounds once every 3 to 5 years, diligently fortifying and refining her efforts each time. It was an achievable task. In the correspondence, they discussed Xiao Lulang's examination results. Despite ranking third from the bottom, it was still a commendable achievement. Xiao Xian beamed. Impressive that Xiao Lulang managed to secure a rank. The third branch must be bursting with pride. Third aunt-in-law must be positively beaming. Xiao Yunduan echoed her sentiment. Indeed, the third branch is elated, but with our mother here, they dare not overstep. Xiao Xian nodded in agreement. Without Miss Fang's presence, eldest uncle might have been so overjoyed that he'd consider bequeathing more than half of the family's estate to the third branch. The conversation lingered on. Xiao Yunduan mentioned Xiao Lulang's lack of ambition to advance to the rank of intermediate advanced scholar, a sentiment Xiao Xian shared. As long as Xiao Lulang remained neither an advanced scholar nor an official, Xiao Xian worried about potential repercussions for Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan saw no issue. He had acquired ample study materials from Xiao Lulang and possessed a solid foundation. Passing the intermediate examination after a few days of dedicated study was well within his capabilities. Yet, advancing further posed a considerable challenge. It was worth noting that only 200 to 300 individuals were admitted as advanced scholars during the spring examinations. Not only did scholars from across the empire participate, but also seasoned veterans and previous candidates. The competition was fierce. He understood Xiao Lulang's limitations. In such a cutthroat intermediate competition, Xiao Lulang had no chance at all. Along with the letter from Yuezheng Xiao came the customary assortment of fruits. Mid-June marked the season for various fruits to ripen and be harvested. Yuezheng Xiao had already dispatched emissaries twice before, and this delivery marked the third. Dragon fruit, lychee, longan, mango, papaya, pineapple, honey peaches, and more overflowed from the 5 large baskets, as was customary. Harvested in the early morning and swiftly plucked from the trees, they arrived in An's province 2.5 days later, still impeccably fresh. The baskets, half the height of a man, brimmed to the top. How could Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan consume such abundance? 2 baskets were sent to Zheng Sang and the others, allowing them and Meng Wanfa's entourage to savor these tropical delights not commonly found in the northern regions. Though modest, there was enough for everyone to sample a few lychee, dragon eyes, and a mango. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan retained 1 basket from the remaining 3, distributing some among the servants. The other 2 were dispatched to the court for Jia Hemming to sample, with a portion reserved for Mrs. Guan, who resided in the back office. It would be remiss not to share with her. In any case, such matters were inconsequential to them. On another note, despite having a surplus stored in her interspace, she could only indulge in these delicacies discreetly. Each time these shipments arrived, she covertly retrieved some for herself. Despite the orchard's expansion, the overall yield remained inadequate. On average, each fruit tree only yielded a few hundred mu. The output wasn't even sufficient for local consumption, let alone exportation. Fresh fruits weren't conducive to long-distance transportation, especially considering the rugged terrain, scorching weather, and lack of effective preservation methods, all of which would inevitably lead to significant losses. Naturally, immediate sale was the most pragmatic option. Chapter 1785, Estrangement. Though An's province and Yuzhang were a mere 500 miles apart, the road conditions were deplorable. Rarely did individuals from Yuzhang venture here, resulting in minimal interaction between the 2 regions. Furthermore, tropical fruits were scarce. Not a single specimen graced the markets of An's province, leaving its denizens oblivious to the existence of the luscious southern delights already adorning the Yuzhang market hundreds of miles away. Upon receiving the lychees, longans, mangoes, and dragon fruits at the government office, the scribes indulged, their eyes alight with delight as they lavished praise upon the fruits. This is lychee. And longan. As for these mangoes and dragon fruits, I've never tasted anything like them. Truly delicious. Lord Xiao's generosity knew no bounds. To share such precious fruits with everyone was a gesture of unparalleled kindness. Deputy Prefect Guan, known for his fondness for good food, partook eagerly. Similarly impressed and envious, he couldn't help but jest, Lord Xiao's acquaintance must possess an abundance of such fruits. They've sent them here multiple times already. Lord Xiao's family must be weary of them. It's a shame we can't afford such luxuries, or else we could have requested more from Lord Xiao's friend. His sarcasm was thinly veiled. Lord Xiao and his family must be tired of these leftovers, hence their arrival here. Why treat them like treasures? If Lord Xiao were truly sincere, wouldn't he have sent more? It was merely lip service. So why rejoice? They don't value you, they're simply discarding their excess. His words cast a pall over the gathering, each individual exchanging uncomfortable glances. However, given his position as deputy prefect, none dared to challenge him openly. They could only offer strained smiles and remain silent. Jia Hemming, who had a public falling out with him long ago, refused to humor him. With a sneer, he retorted, so what if Lord Xiao's family is tired of them? That doesn't diminish the value of these fruits. Lord Xiao shared them with everyone, showing that he cares for us. Otherwise, why would he bother? We should be grateful. If it weren't for Lord Xiao, we wouldn't have the opportunity to taste such exquisite fruits in our lifetimes. If you don't appreciate them, that's your prerogative. But to demand more from Lord Xiao? That's beyond audacious. It's better if you don't offer them to me. ITLL, spare us from hearing your endless sarcasm and complaints. Deputy Prefect Guan erupted in anger. Jia Hemming, what are you insinuating? I never said that. Don't pin things on me just because you're close to Lord Xiao. Jia Hemming sneered back. You know perfectly well whether I've falsely accused you or not. You. Most of the scribes sided with Jia Hemming, feeling that Deputy Prefect Guan had overstepped. Sensing an imminent confrontation, they hastened to intervene, attempting to smooth things over with diplomatic language. They couldn't afford a confrontation. Stirring up trouble would only draw Lord Xiao's attention, leading to unnecessary turmoil. Clearly apprehensive of the consequences, Deputy Prefect Guan refrained from leveraging his authority to chastise Jia Hemming. After uttering a few terse remarks, he stormed off in a huff. Jia Hemming harbored no ill will towards him and let the matter rest. Chapter 1786. Sooner or later, however, following this incident, Deputy Prefect Guan found himself even more diminished in the eyes of his peers. His abandonment of those who stood by him during adversity only served to highlight his lack of gratitude after reaping benefits. His sarcasm and dissatisfaction painted him as selfish and utterly devoid of empathy. Who would willingly associate with such a cold-blooded individual if not for ulterior motives? Deputy Prefect Guan seethed with rage. As a deputy prefect, he had lost all semblance of prestige and dignity within the government office. Since the incident with the account book, contempt from Jia Hemming and his cohorts had intensified. Meanwhile, Lord Xiao effortlessly endeared himself to others. A few meager fruits were all it took to elicit gratitude from everyone. Truly remarkable. Although the spectacle concluded swiftly, Xiao Yunduan was aware of the incident. He chuckled at Deputy Prefect Guan's outburst but didn't take it to heart. That was all that remained of his tolerance. He retained Deputy Prefect Guan solely to avoid further disruption until his wife gave birth. Yet, in the shadows, he was far from idle. His knowledge of the three prominent families and various bandit hideouts had expanded significantly. With ample evidence, including Deputy Prefect Guan's past deeds, Xiao Yunduan had initiated thorough investigations. His administration couldn't afford to harbor someone in the deputy prefect's position who didn't align with his agenda. His ending was already set in stone. Sooner or later. Towards such a person, he naturally could not be bothered to argue with him over small matters. At the end of July, Qiao Xian, with her swollen belly, finally went into labor one night. Since July, the eastern courtyard of the state government had been diligently preparing midwives, baby clothes, swaddling blankets, gauze, cotton, and an array of medicines stood ready for any eventuality. 2 weeks prior, the midwives took up residence in the eastern courtyard, providing a sense of reassurance to all. After all, Xiao Xian could go into labor at any moment after July. Both novices, the couple couldn't contain their nerves, oscillating between joy and worry, each trying to shield the other from their own anxieties. Yet, their conflicting emotions were palpable. Finally, the awaited day arrived. When the midwives rushed in to announce that Madame's water had broken, a collective sigh of relief escaped their lips. It was time. But their relief was short-lived as nervousness crept in once more. "Don't be frightened, euro." Xiaoyun sat by the bedside, gently holding Xiao Xian's hand. Addressing the midwives, he implored, "Take excellent care of my wife. Don't leave her side. I'll be outside. If you need anything, call for me. I've heard that childbirth can be excruciating. If my wife is in pain, please find a way to alleviate euro." The midwives concealed their amusement. Wasn't it common knowledge that childbirth was agonizing? Why else would it be likened to traversing the gates of hell, with some even teetering on the brink? They understood their lord's anxiety for his wife's well-being. Having resided in the state government office for over half a month, they witnessed firsthand his nervousness and adoration towards his wife. However, they couldn't voice their thoughts directly. Chapter 1787, About to give birth. Lord, rest assured. Madame's baby is positioned perfectly, and she's in excellent health. The delivery will undoubtedly be smooth. Indeed, indeed. Lord, you're overly concerned. I've delivered countless babies in my lifetime. Madame's condition is ideal. She'll be just fine. Euro. Of course, labor pains are inevitable for every expectant mother. It's a small price to pay for the miracle of childbirth. It'll pass quickly. Madam, this is your first child. Subsequent deliveries will be easier. Yes, yes. The midwives prattled on, their nonsensical chatter soothing Xiao Xian's anxious heart. Childbirth wasn't a walk in the park. Even if she'd never experienced it firsthand, she'd witnessed the trials of labor. Especially in ancient times, with medical knowledge practically non-existent, childbirth was akin to surrendering to fate, relying solely on luck. Fear lingered, but it wouldn't deter her from the inevitable. Countless women had borne children naturally, she could too. Xiao Yunduan felt a semblance of relief. He smiled at Xiao Xian. You heard them, my dear. The midwives are seasoned professionals. If they assure us that everything will be fine, then it will be euro. It'll be waiting eagerly for you and our child. Although Xiao Xian felt no abdominal pain, she dared not move, fearing the sensation of amniotic fluid trickling down. She looked up, smiling at Xiao Yunduan as she intertwined her slender fingers with his. I understand. You can leave now. Euro. Giving birth was a vulnerable moment, and she didn't want him hovering over her every second. Besides, there was little he could do to assist. If he could, perhaps they could reconsider. Xiao Yunduan enveloped her in a tender embrace, planting a gentle kiss on her forehead before reluctantly pulling away, his heart pounding with a mix of emotions. He grasped her hands tightly, unable to tear his gaze away. His lips trembled, a torrent of feelings flooding his heart: anticipation, excitement, tenderness, nervousness, worry. Euro. Countless words clamored for expression, but he struggled to find the right ones. Euro. I'll be waiting for you. Xiao Xian's smile was reassuring. Don't worry. I am not worried. I'm not. And you shouldn't be either. Euro. Okay. As they seemed to bid farewell for an uncertain duration, the two midwives sighed inwardly. Their lord and lady undoubtedly shared a strong bond, yet their parting was bittersweet. Lord, it's best you leave now. Madam needs rest, and it's still early after her water broke. Yes, yes. Lord, go attend to your duties. There's still time. Xiao Yunduan was taken aback. Too early? Confusion clouded his thoughts. He had anticipated the birth to be imminent. Xiao Xian shared his bewilderment. Despite her water breaking, she felt no contractions. Wasn't childbirth supposed to be excruciating? Please, go. I'll manage. I'll be just outside. I'm not going anywhere. I'll write a euro. After much coaxing, the midwives finally persuaded Xiao Yunduan to step out of the delivery room. Though he remained nearby, his heart remained tethered to Qiao Xian, waiting anxiously outside the door. Chapter 1788, Pain. In addition to the two midwives, Li Xia was also present in the delivery room. Soon, Ms. Song and Ms. Miao, accompanied by Qiao Qiao and Qing Lian, arrived after receiving the news. The prospect of Madame giving birth filled everyone with joy and anticipation. After exchanging pleasantries with Xiao Yunduan, Ms. Song and Ms. Miao changed into clean attire, washed their hands, and hurried into the delivery room. Xiao Yunduan refused to leave the two midwives alone with Qiao Xian, despite their careful screening and assurance of competence. However, when the midwives mentioned that the process would be prolonged, they meant it. Qiao Xian drifted in and out of consciousness, sipping on chicken soup and millet porridge. As darkness descended, the room's lights grew brighter, and she finally felt the onset of labor pains. The pain intensified gradually, growing unbearable with each wave, akin to a relentless tidal surge. Qiao Xian clenched her teeth, her body tensing involuntarily with each wave of agony, leaving her dizzy and breathless. A strangled moan escaped her lips as she endured the excruciating pain of childbirth. Her distress seemed to rouse Xiao Yunduan's anxiety, his urgent voice barely audible through the door, prompting tears to well in her eyes. Chaos ensued in the delivery room. Ms. Song and Ms. Miao worked tirelessly to calm Xiao Yunduan, who was on the verge of bursting into the room. Meanwhile, Madame Xiao endured until her cervix fully dilated, much to the relief of the midwives. Upon hearing their assessment, Qiao Xian felt a glimmer of hope. She took a few sips of ginseng soup and endeavored to follow their instructions, determined to see the process through. The pain remained intense, but in this moment, there was hope. With determination, Qiao Xian persevered, and the delivery progressed smoothly. Within mere minutes, she sensed a release, her limbs relaxing instinctively. Before the haze of exhaustion lifted, she was greeted by the cries of her newborn and the jubilant laughter of the midwives and Miss Song. "She's delivered the baby. It's a young master. Congratulations, Lord and Lady. Congratulations, Madam. Congratulations, Lord." Swiftly, the midwife swathed the infant in a soft crimson blanket and presented him to Qiao Xian with a beaming smile. "Behold, how handsome your young master is. His hearty cries signify his robust health. Born to parents like you and Lord Xiao, he's destined for a life of privilege and prosperity." The midwives chuckled, showering the newborn with praise. Though Qiao Xian could barely discern their words, her heart swelled with tenderness as she gazed at her son, a gentle smile gracing her pale features. This tiny being was her son, hers and Xiao Yunduan's. She had just brought him into the world. Chapter 1789, Child. This newborn was her most intimate kin, connected to her by blood, a treasure nurtured within her own body. A soft, contented warmth filled her heart, brimming with joy. She longed to reach out, to cradle him in her arms, to caress his tender skin with her fingertips. But her weakened state left her unable to raise her hand. With a gentle smile, one of the midwives carefully placed the child in the cradle beside her bed, while the other directed Li Xia and Ms. Miao to assist. Qiao Xian still had tasks ahead, changing clothes, tidying the bed, eating. She would be occupied for some time. Miss Song had hurried out to inform Xiao Yunduan of the wonderful news. In fact, the baby's cries had already reached outside. The delivery room door remained ajar, with only a lowered curtain for privacy. The atmosphere was jubilant. Upon hearing the news, everyone offered their congratulations to Madame for delivering a young master. Xiao Yunduan's youthful and handsome face radiated joy, his eyes sparkling with delight as he continued to praise. Upon learning of the proceedings within, he thanked Miss Song before considering entering the room. "Thank you for your assistance, sister-in-law." Miss Song smiled warmly. "My lord, your kindness knows no bounds. Without you and my wife, we wouldn't have managed. Witnessing the birth of the young master fills me with immense joy. You and Madame are truly blessed, and your fortunes will only multiply in the future." With these words, Miss Song entered the room to lend a hand. Xiao Yunduan paced the hallway, his gaze flitting towards the room. Eventually, he found solace, though his smile remained irrepressible. At last, the weight of the joyous news settled firmly within him, and a smile tugged at his lips. He had a son Euro, a child born of their love. He had become a father Euro. He had yet to lay eyes on the little one his wife had brought into the world, but regardless of appearance, the child was their cherished treasure. Moreover, his wife was radiant with beauty. Surely, their little one would be equally adorably Euro. After patiently waiting for about half an hour, everything was finally in order. The bedding had been changed, rendering it clean and plush. Though Qiao Xian hadn't had the chance to bathe, she felt refreshed after wiping herself down with a dry towel and donning clean pajamas. It had been too long since she had felt such relaxation Euro. It was utterly gratifying, akin to a rebirth. Nestled against the bed's headboard, she gazed fondly at her slumbering son in the cradle before her, her eyes brimming with warmth and adoration. She whispered to him in her heart, "Everything I've endured, it's all for you. Every hardship, every sacrifice, willingly given. As long as you're healthy and safe, it's all worth it. You must thrive Euro, my darlinga Euro." As Qiao Xian contemplated her baby, Xiao Yunduan entered the room. With Ms. Song, the midwife, Li Xia, and the others having departed, the family of 3 was left in solitude. Qiao Xian's eyes brightened. "Husband." Xiao Yunduan settled beside her on the bed, enveloping her in his arms. He tenderly caressed her face, sympathy evident for her pallor. Pressing a gentle kiss to her lips, he murmured, "Thank you for everything you've endured Euro." Chapter 1790, Thank you. Despite the smooth delivery, Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but feel a pang of fear at the sight of the blood on the other end. His wife had sacrificed so much and worked tirelessly for the birth of their child. This level of hardship wasn't fleeting Euro, it had endured for months. And yet, raising a child would prove even more challenging. The depth of his compassion deepened at the thought. Initially, Qiao Xian hadn't dwelled on it, but as she found solace in his embrace, she suddenly felt overwhelmed, on the verge of tears. Xiao Yunduan pressed a tender kiss to her forehead, comforting her with gentle words as they lingered together before turning their attention to the baby in the cradle. The infant lay still, unable to move with his tiny hands. Qiao Xian dared not risk having him sleep on the bed beside her Euro. What if the blanket covered his face, or if she accidentally shifted and pressed against him? After the midwife had instructed her to feed the baby, she nursed him until he drifted off to sleep, then carefully placed him back in the cradle. Beneath the soft blanket, his small head, delicate features, and dark hair were revealed as he slumbered peacefully, radiating an undeniable charm. "He's so cute." "Yes, he's still very obedient. I heard that babies love to bathe. Let's bathe him together in a few days, okay?" "Okay. However, he might be afraid when he enters the water. We have to let him hold our fingers. That way, he should feel safe. He's still young." "How would he know this?" "Who said that?" "He understands." All right, I understand." Euro. The two of them gazed at their baby with shared joy and wonder, their words overlapping in their excitement. After a while, Li Qiao and Li Xia entered with stewed black chicken, red dates, and wolfberry soup. "Madam, have some. The midwife and Auntie Song mentioned that you need to replenish your blood." Xiao Yunduan accepted the bowl. "Pass it to me." After ensuring Qiao Xian had consumed half a bowl of chicken soup and eaten a few morsels of chicken, Xiao Yunduan rinsed her mouth and smiled, "Just lay back and get some rest. Take the baby to the room behind the partition and let Nanny, Li Qiao, and Kaihua look after him. Don't worry." The choice of a nanny had already been made, as Qiao Xian wasn't certain if she would have enough breast milk, and there were no suitable baby formulas available. In such circumstances, finding a nanny was their best option. While the less fortunate could make do with whatever was available, since they had the means to provide better, they couldn't settle for less. Nannies weren't easy to come by, and they needed to be arranged in advance. According to the midwife's advice, Qiao Xian would require a nanny's assistance too. Hearing his words, Qiao Xian felt conflicted and reluctant, but she knew she couldn't manage everything on her own. Exhausted, she glanced at the still sleeping baby and nodded. She mustered a smile and said, "You must be tired too. Go and rest." "Of course, don't worry." Xiao Yunduan kissed her forehead and instructed the maid to carefully carry the cradle away. Xiao Yunduan longed to touch the child's face, but fearing his rough fingers might harm the delicate skin, he refrained from doing so. Observing Li Xia and the others wheeling away the baby's cradle, he tucked Xiao Xian in and offered her gentle reassurance before departing. Chapter 1791. Preparing to move. At this moment, it was almost dawn. In the dark blue and black intermediate sky, the morning star was as dazzling as a diamond. It hung alone in front, its position so low that it seemed like it could be raised with a raise of its hand. It was almost dawn. Xiao Yunduan was so excited that he was no longer sleepy. He simply went to the study and sat down quietly. He wrote a few words and waited for dawn. He and Xiao Xian's baby was finally born smoothly. He was both happy that he was a beginner father and felt that this was a good sign and a good sign. His child was born successfully, and his wife seemed to be in good condition. After a few days of nourishment and confinement, her body was still very healthy. Then, he could plan his next step. He could not continue like this. Sooner or later, he would be ready to take action. He had been in An's province for almost a year, but he had not done anything. He had taken control of the prefect's office and solved the problem of the rice seeds and the debt owed by the state office, which was nothing to Xiao Yunduan. Any one of these three questions was enough to crush a normal prefect lord to the point where he had no choice but to submit. But for Xiao Yunduan, it was just a passive way to solve the problem. This was worlds apart from his beginner's heart. A dark greenish-white hue slowly emerged on the eastern horizon, gradually diffusing and intensifying until the sky brightened with the breaking dawn. As the new day began, the buzz of excitement swept through the city. Word quickly spread that Madame Xiao had given birth to a young master, making Lord Xiao a father. Commoners offered their heartfelt congratulations to Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. Under Lord Xiao's capable leadership, officials and landowners had fallen into line, abandoning their former bad habits and approaching matters with integrity. The once unruly three prominent families found themselves reined in by Lord Xiao's firm hand, earning him the wholehearted admiration of the populace. And to add to his accomplishments, Lord Xiao had swiftly overseen the harvesting of the grain upon his arrival. These seeds, transported through alternative channels by Lord Xiao himself, had flourished despite the year's typical weather conditions. The rice fields were now brimming with promising crops, a testament to Lord Xiao's foresight and resourcefulness. As the rice continued to grow, it became evident to everyone that this year's crop was flourishing exceptionally well. Surveying the fields, Xiao Yunduan marveled at the long, robust stalks of rice. Their substantial size and weight indicated a bountiful yield. According to seasoned farmers, this year's rice production was expected to surpass previous years by at least 30%. In particularly fertile fields, meticulously tended to by diligent workers, the increase in output was even more pronounced. The superiority of these crops was apparent when compared to the rice grown by wealthy landowners through their own channels. Food, the lifeblood of the people, took precedence above all else. The increased food production brought immense joy to the people of An's province, who expressed profound gratitude for Lord Xiao's benevolence. They credited him with coming to their aid like a bodhisattva. With Madame Xiao's successful childbirth and Lord Xiao's newfound fatherhood, the community rejoiced wholeheartedly. They extended their heartfelt wishes for the longevity and happiness of the entire Xiao family, including the newly arrived young master. Chapter 1792. Happiness. The news of Xiao Xian's successful delivery spread quickly among the prominent families, prompting them to dispatch women to deliver congratulatory gifts. Following An's province's customs, only close relatives and dear friends would attend the third birthday celebration, while the one-month-old celebration typically saw a broader circle of guests. During the confinement period, it was customary to send gifts and visit the mother's home to offer congratulations and support. Guests wouldn't bring gifts on the day of the banquet, as the host would have already prepared tokens of appreciation, usually in the form of wedding noodles and eggs. In light of this, the various families began preparing their gifts, organizing groups to send their regards. Upon learning of Xiao Xian's delivery, Mrs. Guan's heart sank. While she didn't wish harm upon Xiao Xian or the child, she harbored hopes of a difficult delivery, perhaps even near death. In her ideal scenario, the child would have been a girl, complicating Lord Xiao's sentiments and tarnishing the couple's relationship. Such an outcome would have brought her immense satisfaction. Unexpectedly, everything went smoothly with the delivery, much to Mrs. Guan's dismay. Not only was it Xiao Xian's first child, but both mother and son were safe, and the child was a boy. Mrs. Guan couldn't find it in herself to be pleased that Lord Xiao now had a legitimate heir. Despite her unhappiness, Mrs. Guan felt obligated to visit and express her concern, given her proximity to the family as the deputy prefect's wife. With gifts in hand and accompanied by Nanny Ding and Jinju, Mrs. Guan made her way to the east courtyard. Meanwhile, Xiao Xian had already awakened. Newly minted as a mother, she was brimming with excitement and couldn't sleep for long. Just as she had finished drinking some water and millet porridge, the baby woke up, prompting the attendants to tend to him. His cries were delicate and heartrending, stirring empathy in anyone who heard them. Xiao Xian, separated from the commotion by a partition and screen, instructed Li Xia to inform the attendants that she would bring the child over later. The baby instinctively sought comfort in his mother's arms. As Xiao Xian gently patted him and spoke soothing words, the baby quieted down, finding solace in her familiar voice and heartbeat. With tearful eyes, he gazed at Xiao Xian, melting her heart with his innocence and vulnerability. She couldn't help but feel a surge of love for her son. What an endearing little creature he was. After nursing the baby and lulling him back to sleep, Xiao Xian entrusted him to the nanny, who carefully placed him in the cradle. Upon learning of Mrs. Guan's visit, Xiao Xian hastily instructed Li Xia and Li Qiu to help her freshen up, ensuring she looked presentable before welcoming their guest. Aware of the baby's fragility, having only recently emerged from the safety of his mother's womb, Xiao Xian was cautious about exposing him to the outside world and its array of bacteria. She hesitated to let outsiders near him, fearing he might not cope well with the new environment. For the next 10 to 20 days, she resolved to keep him shielded from visitors. The last thing she wanted was for any harm to befall him. As Mrs. Guan entered the room, she found Xiao Xian lying on the bed, a serene smile gracing her features despite the lingering paleness from her recent childbirth. Chapter 1793, Comprehension. She looked extremely energetic. Mrs. Guan got even more depressed. She forced a smile and greeted Xiao Xian with a smile. Madame Xiao, you are so lucky." Xiao Xian nodded with a smile. After exchanging some pleasantries, Mrs. Guan expressed that she wanted to see the baby, but Xiao Xian turned her down. "The baby has just fallen asleep, and he will wake up very soon. I am sorry, but we can ask you to see him when he is 1 month old." Mrs. Guan didn't push to see the baby, but Xiao Xian's words left her feeling slighted. She sensed a subtle condescension and promptly masked her disappointment before bidding her farewell. Xiao Xian paid her reaction no mind, convinced that Deputy Prefect Guan's woes were just beginning. Even a deputy prefect finds trouble, surely, she's not exempt. Meanwhile, Xiao Yunduan had intended to return home earlier to spend time with his wife and son, but office duties kept him busy until noon. Upon his arrival, he changed into fresh clothes as his wife had instructed. During this delicate time, they couldn't risk bringing any dust near their fragile baby. Xiao Xian smiled warmly as she saw him, her lack of inhibition evident. "Welcome back." Xiao Yunduan's gaze lingered on her, his heart quickening. It had been too long since they last shared intimacy, as any man would, he yearned for it. Carefully, he settled beside her on the bed, gently cradling their child. As he felt the softness of the swaddled bundle, happiness and tenderness flooded his heart. After feeding the baby, Xiao Xian put down her clothes and realized what she looked like in front of him. Stunned, she couldn't help but laugh. The contrast between being a mother and not was stark. In the past, she'd never have felt so unhurried, let alone unembarrassed. Now, though, it all felt perfectly natural. Xiao Xian had a sudden realization. She used to judge mothers nursing in public harshly, seeing it as shameless. But now, she understood. In this phase, maternal love took precedence. Everything else faded in comparison. This transformation felt organic yet inexplicably Euro, a truth she couldn't deny. She imagined if Xiao Yunduan caught her nursing in public, she'd have blushed fiercely, unlike her current nonchalant demeanor. Xiao Xian gazed fondly at the baby in her arms, struck by his beauty. "Husband, would you like to hold him?" she offered, her eyes sparkling. Xiao Yunduan's face lit up, and he eagerly reached out his hand. However, after a few failed attempts, Xiao Yunduan withdrew his hand with a sheepish grin. "Maybe not, I'm afraid it'll be too clumsy." He couldn't help but marvel at the fragility of his son. Xiao Xian chuckled at his honesty, leaning comfortably against him. "Well, you'll have your chance when he's a bit sturdier." "Okay." Chapter 1794. Not waiting anymore. The child was still too young to need a name, but Xiao Xian couldn't help but ask Xiao Yunduan with a smile, "What shall we call our son?" Xiao Yunduan had been pondering this all morning, so he replied with a smile, "I was just about to discuss this with you. Our son was born in An's province, and our foremost wish is for his safety and well-being above all else. Why don't we name him Anan?" In this place, safety truly outweighed all other considerations. The mountain bandits still posed a significant threat, like a looming tumor ready to burst at any moment. Despite their preparations, Xiao Yunduan couldn't guarantee an easy victory over them. The mountainous terrain was treacherous, and the bandits were cunning, entrenched, and numerous. Eliminating them wouldn't be a simple task. Previously, the injuries sustained by the Tiger Head tribe were not solely due to being surrounded, but also due to their owner Orsayuro. They were outnumbered, underestimated the enemy, and were betrayed by their scouts who revealed their location. Yet, launching a proactive assault on the bandit stronghold was no easy feat otherwise. An's province wouldn't be in its current state, and the imperial court wouldn't have tolerated it for so long. In their previous interactions, Xiao Yunduan had only demonstrated his strength and reluctance to be trifled with, urging everyone to mind their own business. But that wasn't enough for him. He was determined to crack this tough nut. Conquering the bandits would not only secure his promotion but also provide a fallback plan. Even if he couldn't recover from his current predicament, no one would dare to cross him lightly. At that moment, he had the freedom to choose his path: Euro, advance or retreat Euro, ensuring the safety of his family. The entrenched bandits posed a significant threat to An's province, and as an ambitious young official, Xiao Yunduan was eager to make a difference for the local people. Peace. It seemed like a simple concept, but achieving it here was anything but easy. Yet, it was the most heartfelt wish and the ultimate aspiration. Xiao Xian grasped the depth of Xiao Yunduan's intentions, her heart softening as she nestled against his arms. Anan is a wonderful name, indeed. Anan, stay safe, my love. We'll be all right. Yes, we will, he affirmed. Their smiles met in silent agreement before they shared a tender kiss. After their moment together, Xiao Yunduan arranged for someone to take the child to rest. He had one more matter to discuss with Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian instructed the nanny, Aunt Zhu, to care for Anan, entrusting her to the capable hands of Kai Ming and Kai Yun, who were responsible for her well-being. Anan proved to be a finicky eater, only willing to nurse from Xiao Xian herself. Despite Aunt Zhu's efforts, Anan adamantly refused to feed from her. Tears welled in her eyes as she turned her head away, rejecting the offered breast. With limited milk production, Xiao Xian resorted to spoon-feeding Anan milk from a bowl, finally coaxing her to eat. Wife, the autumn harvest is approaching, which means heavy taxes. The Fan family, with their vast lands, will likely lead the resistance and cause trouble. I see an opportunity to address this issue along with Deputy Prefect Guan Euro. It was clear they couldn't allow vermin like Deputy Prefect Guan to persist into the new year. Chapter 1795. Tax. Xiao Yunduan knew he couldn't confront the bandits without first rooting out the corruption within the state office. An attack from both inside and out could spell disaster. Xiao Xian wholeheartedly agreed. To tackle external threats, they had to address internal ones first. It was imperative to deal with Deputy Prefect Guan and his cronies before they could effectively combat the bandits. By the time she emerged from confinement, she'd be able to lend her support in handling the bandits. Since giving birth, Xiao Xian felt her powers gradually returning, perhaps even stronger than before. If you have a plan, go ahead. I'll take care of Anan. We rarely venture out, so don't worry about us, she assured him. Xiao Yunduan gently held her hand, his expression pained. I must confess, my actions may disrupt Anan's 1-month celebration. I feel guilty towards you and our son. Naturally, he wished for their eldest son's celebration to be a joyous occasion. Yet, once he initiated action, there was no telling if someone would exploit the event to cause trouble. Xiao Xian's response was immediate and understanding. Anan won't hold it against you, and neither will I. We understand what truly matters. Besides, having Deputy Prefect Guan's family residing in the West Yard isn't appropriate. I hope they vacate soon. Living in close proximity within the state office compound meant frequent interactions, which heightened Xiao Xian's concern, especially now with a newborn. The infant was too fragile to withstand even minor mishaps. Their safest option was to compel Deputy Prefect Guan's family to leave. Yet, they were entitled to reside in the government office compound, making eviction without cause impractical. Unless Deputy Prefect Guan ceased to hold his position, their situation remained unchanged. Moreover, there was no need to delay any longer. With the child safely born and Xiao Xian gradually recovering, action could be taken. Surely, they couldn't allow Meng Wanfu and Ding Xiang's associates to linger indefinitely. As time passed, the risk of their presence being discovered increased, diminishing their effectiveness as a surprise asset. Though Xiao Yunduan knew Xiao Xian would support his decision, he couldn't shake the guilt. Gently, he touched her face, offering reassurance. Reminding himself to treat her kindly, he vowed to do just that. The following day, Xiao Yunduan convened a meeting with Deputy Prefect Guan, Jia Hemming, and other officials to discuss post-harvest taxation. As per Great Qin's regulations, families were obligated to pay taxes in the form of public grain, determined by the quantity and quality of their lands and crops. Even noble families enjoyed only partial tax exemptions, with the rest payable in taxes. While some noble families skirted the rules to some extent, the imperial court typically turned a blind eye to minor infractions. However, concrete evidence left no room for escape. An's province's past accounting records were murky, susceptible to investigation. Any revelations would throw the entire province into disarray, rendering it ungovernable. Thus, Xiao Yunduan had refrained from delving into the past, opting instead to publicly address the issue, providing a semblance of reassurance to the populace. Chapter 1796, Fan Family. However, starting this year, adherence to the laws of the Great Qin Empire and the regulations of the state government became imperative. Although the large and small family clans associated with the three major families were reluctant, they dared not defy them. They simply followed their lead, albeit begrudgingly. Previously, the situation had been manageable. But with the imminent autumn harvest, it became evident that the Fan family, boasting a vast plantation spanning 150,000 acres, would face substantial tax obligations under Great Qin law. Aware of old Lady Fan's formidable character and the strained relationship between the Fan family and Lord Xiao and his wife, many eagerly awaited the outcome of this impending tax collection. Xiao Yunduan convened a meeting with the deputy prefect and outlined two directives. Firstly, they were to verify the acreage of fertile land in An's province, ensuring it aligned with government records. Secondly, preparations for post-harvest tax collection were to be made. Given the tight time frame, it was impossible to conduct thorough investigations across all families from the major clans to the affluent households. In reality, as long as the three major families cooperated, the compliance of other families was assured. However, the pivotal question remained: would the three great clans, especially the Fan clan, cooperate? As Xiao Yunduan broached the subject, silence enveloped the room. After a moment, he glanced at his colleagues. This matter concerns the stability of An's province and each one of us. Does anyone have anything to add? Taxation was essential for funding various public projects vital to the welfare of An's province's residents, including infrastructure repairs, canal maintenance, and provisions for emergencies like famine or shortages. Initially, a portion of the taxes collected across various regions was expected to be remitted to the national treasury. However, Enns province operated under unique circumstances. For over a decade, it hadn't forwarded any taxes to the imperial court. Naturally, the imperial court wasn't inclined to provide funds to Enns province without justification. The province had to rely on its own resources. Any prefect daring enough to request funds for food distribution risked investigation by imperial officials. Failure to justify such requests would spell trouble for the prefect. It was deemed unreasonable for a region to be self-sufficient without contributing taxes. Consequently, prefects refrained from petitioning the imperial court for financial aid, preferring instead to borrow from local affluent individuals. Given the prevailing submission, dissent was unheard of. Yet, Enns province defied conventional norms. Here, strength often trumped logic. Xiao Yunduan grinned. In that case, let's proceed as follows. Deputy Prefect, you'll oversee the land inspection. Within 10 days, we'll scrutinize the holdings of the 3 major families. Prior to the autumn harvest and tax collection, I expect all families with over 300 mu of land to undergo examination. Chapter 1797, Pulling Together, handle this matter separately. Personally oversee the inspections of the 3 major clans. If any issues arise, inform me promptly, understood? Xiao Yunduan instructed. Deputy Prefect Guan seethed inwardly. What could he do? Certainly not this. Wasn't this essentially setting him up to offend someone and face the consequences? In the past, he might have agreed without hesitation. It would have been easy, just a matter of deceiving them. But now, he doubted he could deceive Lord Xiao. Were the 3 great clans individuals he could afford to offend? He certainly didn't want to provoke their ire. What would he gain from offending them? He could kiss any hopes of skimming from tax collections goodbye. Given the circumstances, why subject himself to such a thankless task? Yet, he couldn't refuse. His previous mistake had been convalescing for so long that Lord Xiao had capitalized on his absence to suppress his allies and consolidate power. By the time he returned, it was too late. Now, with Lord Xiao assigning him a task and him citing illness, it would only broadcast his fear and incompetence to everyone. Life in the state office would become even more unbearable. His already dwindling prestige would likely vanish entirely. My lord, entrusting me with this task demonstrates your trust and regard. I accept your orders willingly. However, I do have a request. Please assign Jia Hemming and Jia Shuming to assist me. Grant me this favor, he requested. If he were to fall, he wouldn't let Jia Hemming bear the burden alone. The scribes exchanged knowing glances with their peers, silently acknowledging the deputy prefect lord's astuteness. Xiao Yunduan turned his gaze towards Jia Hemming. Internally, Jia Hemming sneered. Rising from his seat, he bowed to Xiao Yunduan. My lord, I have always been eager to assist you and serve the people of Enns province. Am more than willing to take on this responsibility. You've made the right choice. Xiao Yunduan exclaimed with a hearty laugh, nodding in approval. In that case, you'll collaborate with Deputy Prefect Guan. Proceed with haste. Should you require additional manpower, enlist support from the government office. You have my backing. Thank you, my lord. Deputy Prefect Guan grew weary of hearing Xiao Yunduan's praise. While he remained indifferent to Lord Xiao's compliments, he couldn't stomach witnessing praise lavished upon others, particularly Jia Hemming. With the matter settled, word of it quickly spread throughout Enns province, disseminating to the 17 subordinate towns. The Mei family possessed the smallest tract of fertile land, concealing a mere 2,000 mu. However, they hadn't intentionally obscured this information, it simply hadn't been worth the trouble to register with the government. Regardless, their tax payments were deemed acceptable, sparing them from serious scrutiny. The Mei family viewed the issue as inconsequential, intending to rectify it in due course. They deemed it unwise to engage in conflict with the prefect lord over such a trivial matter. Similarly, the Hua family, ever cautious, found themselves in a similar predicament. They neglected to record land acquisitions out of convenience, confident they could rectify any oversights when necessary, all while maintaining cordial relations with Lord Shao. Given Lord Shao's formidable reputation, the Fan family, still nursing resentments from prior misfortune, opted to refrain from provoking further ire. Chapter 1798, deliberately targeting. Thankfully, Lord Shao proved to be a reasonable man, refraining from exploitation or seeking undue favors. Consequently, the burden on their shoulders remained manageable. Only bandits would dare openly defy the government's authority. Such behavior was simply unheard of, especially on the surface. However, if the Fan family managed to astound and excel in this endeavor, they stood to gain significantly. It was a scenario to hope for. The Hua brothers exchanged jests in private, pondering the unpredictable tactics old lady Fan might employ this time. With a vast expanse of 200,000 mu of fertile land, the Fan family's decision not to utilize government-provided seeds resulted in a yield akin to the previous year, roughly 600 caddies per mu. Yet, in this water valley terrain, the transformation process yielded approximately 70 to 75 caddies of dry valley per 100 caddies of water valley. Consequently, the output translated to around 430 to 440 caddies per mu of dry valley. Calculated against the tax rate of 30 per grain imposed by Great Qin, the Fan family faced a staggering obligation of nearly 2.89 to 3 million caddies of grain, a substantial sum by any measure. Naturally, the Fan clan would not acquiesce readily. Even if Lord Shao proposed a compromise, suggesting they pay half, the Fan family would undoubtedly resist. In previous instances, their contributions ranged merely from 300,000 to 500,000 caddies, and even then, only after extensive negotiations with the prefect's representatives. Now, confronted with a demand for 3 million caddies, the spectacle promised to be grand indeed. The Hua brothers found themselves slightly exhilarated by the unfolding drama. Meanwhile, old lady Fan seethed with indignation. This was simply intolerable. Old lady Fan was convinced that Lord Shao had deliberately targeted the Fan family. It was widely acknowledged throughout An's province that the Fan family possessed the most fertile land. So, why would Lord Shao choose this particular moment to exert pressure on them? If it wasn't for personal gain, what could possibly be his motive for singling out the Fan family? What added insult to injury was the glaring realization that, despite their awareness of Lord Shao's self-serving actions, the Fan family felt powerless to openly confront him. Adding to their frustration, Xiao Yunduan had supplied superior rice seeds this year, and although the Fan family had initially intended to inconvenience him by borrowing seeds elsewhere, the plan backfired spectacularly. Not only did Xiao Yunduan resolve the issue effortlessly, but he also obtained significantly better rice seeds than the Fan family. Each mu of farmland using Xiao Yunduan seeds boasted an increase in production of at least 30%. The implications were staggering. If the Fan family had utilized government-provided rice seeds, their harvest this year would have been monumental. This revelation left the leaders of the Fan family, including old lady Fan, seething with rage, bordering on physical illness. Behind closed doors, they became the subject of ridicule and mockery. To exacerbate matters, Fan Rian, in front of Madame Lady Qiao, unleashed a torrent of accusations, insinuating that Lord Shao had intentionally deceived the Fan family. Despite possessing superior rice seeds and being aware of the Fan family's extensive planting endeavors, Lord Shao failed to inform or assist them in any way. Such neglect. Such incompetence as parents. Now, to compound their misery, Lord Shao showed no remorse and had the audacity to demand taxes from the Fan family. It was the height of tyranny. Old lady Fan concurred vehemently. She doubted whether the Fan family would have even accepted the rice seeds had Xiao Yunduan offered them, even if they had to beg. The notion of purchasing them was out of the question. Free or not, the Fan family would have rejected them outright. Thus, when the Mei family and the Hua family sent their female representatives with gifts to congratulate Lord Shao, the Fan family remained conspicuously silent, biding their time. Chapter 1799, The Fan family won't go. This wouldn't suffice. With the birth of Lord Shao's son, the Mei family and the Hua family had already paid their respects. Numerous other esteemed families had followed suit. It would be deemed improper for the Fan family to abstain. Refusing to attend would invite ridicule, painting them as petty and small-minded. Both madams of the Fan family were irked by mother-in-law's obstinacy and lack of decorum. Yet, attempting to sway her would only result in further conflict, ensuring their own reluctance to attend. Should they relent and attend, they would undoubtedly face reprimand. As seasoned grandmothers, they harbored no inclination to endure such admonishment. The two old masters of the Fan family found themselves powerless to influence their wives in this matter. Laden with guilt and devoid of recourse, they resolved to act independently. Their efforts, however, were swiftly met with their mother's scathing reproach. "What are you thinking? That Xiao character harbors ill will toward our Fan family. Despite our strained relations, he deigns to offer congratulations. You too disappointments. Will you present your other cheek after being slapped? You too are utterly insufferable. Even Ener shows more spine than you. You bring disgrace upon our family. You are forbidden from attending. The Fan family shall not stoop to such servility." The two old masters endured the barrage of scolding, their chests tight, vision dimming. Shame and resentment coursed through them, but they gritted their teeth and endured. Such was the burden of filial obligation. Were she not their mother by blood, fisticuffs might have ensued long ago. Yet, Fan Rian's incendiary words only served to stoke the flames. "Elder brother, second brother, it's plain to see that Lord Xiao is exploiting our family's position. If we extend further courtesies, we only diminish our dignity and embolden his arrogance. Don't blame me for my ire. If you have the time to dwell on this, why not devise a strategy to address Lord Xiao and curb his arrogance? That would be in the best interest of the Fan family." These words held undeniable truth. Resolving this matter amicably was imperative to mitigate the Fan family's losses. Yet, upon hearing Fan Rian's admonition, the two old masters of the Fan family felt an overwhelming sense of revulsion. For the 108th time, they lamented their decision to allow this woman into their family. Why hadn't they married her off instead? Regret consumed them. Consequently, the entire city became aware that the Fan family abstained from presenting gifts to Lord Xiao. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan remained indifferent. The absence of the Fan family was a relief, sparing them any concern. On the day of the baby's birth, Xiao Yunduan dispatched messengers to spread the joyful news to Yuzhang. The Yuezheng family expressed their happiness upon hearing the news and relayed it to Shouting Village. Despite her son, daughter-in-law, and grandson's absence, Miss Fang radiated joy in the village. She paid respects to their ancestors and planned several small banquets to honor the land officer, village elders, and those close to them. Furthermore, she requested the Yuezheng family to deliver clothing, shoes, socks, swaddling clothes, longevity locks, gold bracelets, red dates, and cubulos for the expectant mother. Miss Fang also gifted Xiao Xian 500 taels of silver, a gesture of respect despite knowing she lacked nothing. Ms. Yan and Mei Qing, considerate as ever, prepared gifts for each family member, entrusting the Fan family to deliver them accordingly. Chapter 1800. Fruit. First Madam shared in Xiao Xian's joy, having meticulously prepared an array of supplements and items for the baby, eagerly anticipating Yuezheng Xiao's next visit. In First Madam's eyes, the bond between Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had already solidified, and the birth of their eldest son only served to fortify her position further. Yuezheng Xiao arranged for fruits to be brought over, though longan fruits and lychees were no longer in season. However, there were still mangoes, dragon fruits, papayas, bananas, kiwis, grapes, cantaloupes, watermelons, and peaches available. Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan greeted Yuezheng Xiao warmly, deeply touched by the thoughtful gifts from their family. While she lacked nothing materially, Xiao Xian found solace and warmth in her family's genuine concern. The sense of being cherished and missed was profoundly comforting. Conversely, the attitude of, "Since you have everything, I won't give it to you," proved to be the most disheartening. Yet, Yuezheng Xiao found himself occupied as well. He stayed for 2 nights, marveling at the newborn before returning home. He had pledged to attend the 1-month-old celebration, fulfilling his promise. Simultaneously, he sought to convey his mother's desire to attend. However, he pondered its appropriateness. Qiao Xian held a deep respect and gratitude towards First Madame Luzheng. Naturally, she hoped First Madame Luzheng could attend the baby's 1-month-old banquet, alongside all the shouting village family members. Unfortunately, it was not the opportune time. It would be deemed inappropriate. Anne's province was not safe yet, and there would be too many people around. If someone sneaked in and she and Xiao Yunduan could not take care of them, it would be very troublesome. You would never know what was coming next. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan had no choice but to turn him down. Apparently, Yuezheng Xiao had already expected that this would happen. He did not mind it at all. Instead, he comforted them with a smile. Lord Xiao and sister-in-law, don't feel guilty. It is indeed not convenient for my mother and the others to come to Anne's province right now. We can ask old Madame Xiao and the old master of the Xiao family to come with us when we have the chance. Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan looked at each other and nodded with a smile. Yes, when this place is settled, we will invite elder aunt and mother-in-law here. Yuezheng Xiao laughed and left. Yuezheng Xiao had brought a lot of fruits, which was what the first madam had reminded him about. She said that Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan were going to have a lot of guests, so they should send more fruits to the guests. Yuezheng Xiao agreed, so he brought 8 baskets of fruits. In fact, it was more than useful. It was simply too honorable. Whenever guests arrived to offer their congratulations, Qiao Xian instructed Li Xia and the others to present them with the rare fruits. These fruits were truly a novelty to the people of Anne's province, who marveled at their exotic appearance and relished their unparalleled flavor. Enhanced by Qiao Xian's unique abilities, the fruits became even more delectable and aromatic, earning endless praise from all who tasted them. For the Hua family and Mei family, who had graced their home before, Qiao Xian arranged for specially curated fruit baskets to be prepared as tokens of appreciation. However, for other visiting families, Qiao Xian chose not to extend such offerings. As the wife of the prefect, Qiao Xian operated within the realm of reason and personal preference. Given her status and authority, few would dare to question the fairness of her actions. The distinction between the 3 prominent families and others was simply a matter of practicality and natural inclination. After all, it was only human nature to accord special treatment to those of significant influence and stature. Who would dare to object? Chapter 1801, all wanted. Xiao Xian remained indifferent to whether she pleased everyone or not. In their pursuit of fairness, they risked being perceived as weak or easily manipulated. The perception that they were easily bullied lingered among some guests. Qiao Xian took the opportunity to offer the guests rare and precious fruits, emphasizing that only she and the Yuezheng family possessed these fruit trees. With a vast orchard in Yuzhang, she planned to acquire more fruit trees next year to experiment with Plantinga euro. Strawberries and dragon fruit seemed promising, as she had already successfully cultivated them in her backyard. The strawberries, particularly prized and delicate, were only available locally, as transporting them over long distances was impractical. Guests savored the seasonal fruits, relishing the opportunity to taste them firsthand. Qiao Xian's announcement stirred emotions, prompting some to express interest in reserving fruit trees in advance from Madame Xiao, regardless of quantity. Qiao Xian responded graciously, indicating her willingness to share if circumstances allowed. Furthermore, she contemplated establishing an orchard on their premises, provided the soil and water conditions were suitable. The revelation endeared Xiao Xian to the guests, fostering a sense of closeness and prompting them to adopt more courteous and friendly demeanor, even if some were merely feigning. No one was oblivious to the fact that offending Madame Xiao or jeopardizing their relationship with her could forfeit their chance to acquire a share of the coveted fruit trees. Moreover, when Xiao Xian shared the fruits with the scribes, their inquiries revealed that no one else besides the Yuezheng family and Madame Xiao possessed such unique fruit trees. The Yuezheng family was a big family, so no one dared to do anything to them. Some people also wanted to buy fruit trees, but the Yuezheng family refused. They didn't even sell the fruits to them. After all, the Yuezheng family had said that the fruits were very precious, and they couldn't afford to buy them at a high price. Seeing that they had come all the way here, it was already good enough to share a few to tasty euro hence, everyone felt regretful. He also vaguely understood that Madame Xiao would have to talk to him about these euro. Now that Madame Xiao had taken the initiative to convey the message, it was clear to all who wouldn't understand. Those privileged enough to offer their congratulations at the prefect's office hailed from distinguished backgrounds. With ample resources at their disposal, they readily embraced the opportunity for indulgence. After all, the allure of longan fruits, lychees, mangoes, mangosteens, strawberries, and more was undeniable. Once tasted, their exquisite flavors lingered in memory, leaving an enduring longing. It was only natural to avoid offending Madame Xiao and Lord Xiao in such circumstances. The Fan clan seethed with renewed anger. While other families dutifully paid their respects at the state office, the conspicuous absence of the Fan family served as a pointed protest against Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. However, they did not anticipate that attendees would be treated to the exquisite taste of such precious fruits. Two scribes, previously gifted with lychees, longans, and dragon fruits, shared their bounty with the Fan family. Delighted by the flavors, even old lady Fan indulged in a taste. Fan Ruyan and her daughter Bai Ruirui developed a particular fondness for lychees and longans. Despite efforts to procure more through the housekeeper, their quest remained unfulfilled. Chapter 1802, On purpose. Fan Ruyan and her mother harbored deep dissatisfaction. Upon learning that, aside from the Xiao family and the Yuezhing family, no one else possessed these fruits, they reluctantly resigned themselves to the situation. Attempting to threaten Lord Xiao was futile. The Yuezhing family's status transcended mere familial ties within An's province. Despite the Fan family's influence, they were powerless to alter the situation. Moreover, the Yuezhing family's comparable power level only exacerbated the Fan family's frustration. To add insult to injury, before they could extend their congratulations at the state office, they were denied the opportunity to taste the prized fruits. Their indignation heightened when they learned that Madame Xiao had generously sent 2 large fruit baskets to the Mei family and the Hua family. Laden with mangoes, kiwis, bananas, dragon fruits, mangosteens, and the most precious strawberries, the baskets were overflowing. Rather than framing it as a reciprocal gift, Madame Xiao described it as a special treat for them to enjoy. The conspicuous omission of the Fan clan stung like a slap to the face. Old lady Fan seethed with fury. Fan Ruyan accused Xiao Xian of arrogance and disrespect towards the Fan family. Upon hearing of this, Xiao Xian forthrightly admitted that she lacked sufficient fruits but pledged to share with the Fan family if more were available. However, priority would be given to guests and the 3 congratulatory families. Any surplus fruits would then be allocated to those who had not received them during the congratulations. The implication was clear: fairness would be upheld, but the Fan family, as newcomers, would not be prioritized. This rationale only fueled old lady Fan and her daughter's ire even further. It's evident that Lord Xiao abused his power for personal gain, publicly humiliating and bullying our Fan family first. When we stood up in protest, they twisted the narrative to make it seem like we were the instigators. As expected, they'll let them do as they please. Mother, our family can't afford to retreat or admit defeat this time. Otherwise, we'll lose our standing in An's province. Fan Ruyan seethed with fury. A person of great dignity, she had presumed that her respected and flattered status in An's province would guarantee different treatment from Madame Xiao. Unexpectedly, Madame Xiao did not treat her differently. She had harbored resentment for some time and was biding her time. What Fan Ruyan failed to realize was her own arrogance and obstinacy. Old lady Fan's protective nature and the Fan family's status as one of the 3 prominent families in An's province shielded her from disobedience or flattery from smaller clans. The Mei family and the Hua family were well aware of her personality and typically avoided confrontation. Furthermore, she hesitated to push too far with them, fearing repercussions. Unbeknownst to Fan Ruyan, many women tolerated and flattered her outwardly while secretly plotting her downfall. Just wait and see. One day, someone will teach her a lesson. And now, that day seemed to have arrived, with countless individuals silently applauding behind her back. Old lady Fan remained resolute on the matter of taxes. 3 million kilograms of dry grains equated to a considerable sum, given the current market prices. No family would willingly part with such a significant amount of wealth without just cause. Chapter 1803. Think of a way. More importantly, this cycle of losses would persist indefinitely into the future, resulting in significant long-term repercussions. Adding to the strain, the relationship between the Fan family and Lord Shao had deteriorated to the point where they couldn't afford any further loss of reputation. Old Lady Fan concurred, summoning her two sons and inquiring about any viable solutions they might have devised. Their plan had initially revolved around a private meeting with Lord Shao, offering him increased benefits compared to previous years in a plea for leniency. Yet, despite their efforts, when Lord Shao greeted them warmly, he steadfastly refused their offerings, opting instead to lecture them tirelessly on the laws of the great Qin Empire. The elder members of the Fan family found themselves rendered speechless, their chests constricted with tension. First Old Master Fan clenched his teeth, realizing that even doubling the benefits promised to Lord Shao failed to sway him. Meanwhile, a bitter smile crept onto the face of the other elder, First Old Master Fan, as he acknowledged Lord Shao's indifference to their modest offerings. It seemed evident that such a trifling sum held no allure for him, especially considering his substantial wealth, which surpassed 600,000 taels of silver without hesitation. With covert operations ruled out, the two elders reluctantly abandoned their initial strategy, compelled to explore alternative avenues. Even in the absence of their mother's prompting, they were already racking their brains to devise a solution. After all, enduring such annual losses over an extended period was simply untenable. Learning of their failed attempt to persuade Shao Yunduan, Old Lady Fan's expression soured with a mixture of anger and disdain. Why must you subject yourselves to such humiliation? Lord Shao will not yield unless we offer him everything we possess. Mother speaks the truth. Elder brother, second brother, your judgment has faltered. Are you not aware of the true nature of Lord Shao and his wife? Do you not grasp how they regard our family? Why must you persist in this futile endeavor? In my estimation, even if we were to seek an audience, Lord Shao would remain elusive. Would it not be wiser to approach Deputy Prefect Guan instead? The two elder members of the Fan family were taken aback, a realization dawning upon Themeyuro. Second Old Master Fan furrowed his brow once more. But can Deputy Prefect Guan assist us, considering his responsibilities over field investigations and tax collection? Old Lady Fan scoffed, her tone sharp. Isn't that convenient? Precisely because he oversees these matters, it's fitting. Deputy Prefect Guan has been stationed in An's province for a decade. What doesn't he know? I refuse to believe there's no one loyal to him within the government office. If he truly wished to conceal something from that Shao character, it would be child's play. Why didn't you two consider this? Thankfully, we have the insight of the younger generation. The countenances of the two elder Fan masters soured. Yet, Fan Rian interjected with a smile, Mother, don't fault elder brother and second brother. It simply slipped their minds momentarily. Besides, as a member of the Fan family, it's my duty to contribute. I always knew you were capable and dutiful. The two elder Fan masters remained silent, their spirits dampened. Having failed to secure an audience with Shao Yunduan, they hesitated to approach Deputy Prefect Guan directly. Instead, they dispatched a representative to gather information about the inner workings of the office. Failure to devise a successful strategy would leave them with few alternatives. After all, who would willingly abandon such a significant matter without exerting every effort? Their inquiries, however, yielded increasingly shocking revelations. Having no official ties to the government, they had paid scant attention to the affairs of the state office. Their knowledge was limited to the reputation of Lord Shao's authoritarian rule and the exodus of many long-standing officials and scribes from the government office. Chapter 1804. They are done. This was a common occurrence. As the saying goes, a new emperor brings new ministers. Who could fault Lord Shao for strategically placing his own allies within the government office? Such tactics were par for the course. However, what caught them off guard was the outcome of the clashes between Lord Shao and Deputy Prefect Guan. Despite Deputy Prefect Guan's efforts to assert his authority, both openly and covertly, he found himself outmaneuvered time and again by Lord Shao, suffering significant setbacks in the process. The bitterness welled up within the two brothers. Would seeking assistance from Deputy Prefect Guan truly yield any results? They couldn't afford to risk everything and come back empty-handed. Reflecting on the rumors they had heard about Xiao Yunduan's immense wealth and his victories over the Tiger Head tribe, the Fan brothers decided to reassess their approach. Their astute business instincts warned them that this venture held little promise. If this trend persisted, it could spell the end. Truly, Lord Xiao defied the mold of any previous prefect Lord while they were not yet won over by him. Why did the Fan family feel compelled to stand out? Wouldn't it be wiser to bide their time, waiting for an opportune moment to capitalize on the situation? After deliberation, the brothers briefed Old Lady Fan on their conclusions. But Old Lady Fan dismissed their findings, berating them once more. She even suggested that if they were unwilling to exert themselves for the sake of the Fan family, they should personally compensate for the losses each year from their own pockets. Incensed, the two elder Fan masters grappled with conflicting emotions. Why should they foot the bill while benefiting another family? Feeling a mix of disappointment and indignation, they resolved to reach out to Deputy Prefect Guan themselves. What harm could a few attempts do? Why not take the chance? Old Lady Fan seethed with fury. Coincidentally, Jia Hemming made his third visit of the day, requesting the Fan family's cooperation with the field and land investigation. Jia Hemming's demeanor this time was notably stern. Armed with documents from Xiao Yunduan, he handed them over to the Fan family's butler. His resolute stance made it clear that he intended to commence comparing documents the following morning, scrutinizing discrepancies. Should the Fan family refuse to cooperate, he warned, bailiffs would be compelled to enter the premises. Old Lady Fan's anger surged. She ordered the gatekeeper to eject Jia Hemming from the premises. After all, Lord Xiao held the position of prefect. While she might be powerless against him, she couldn't tolerate such insolence from a mere underling. The Fan clan hadn't sunk so low as to endure such disrespect. Fan Rian shared in her grandmother's indignation. With a disdainful smirk, she remarked, using a chicken feather as an arrow, indeed. Just a lowly scribe. In the days of the previous Lord Prefect, even such a minor functionary would bow respectfully in our presence. This is utterly preposterous. If he wishes to play the game of arrogance, let him revel in it for a lifetime. Those who lack foresight will inevitably meet their downfall. Old Lady Fan's disgust only grew. Who does this Jia think he is? How dare he flaunt his authority before the Fan family? If we fail to reprimand him, he'll remain oblivious to the boundaries of respect. He must learn the consequences of his impertinence. Mother always knows best. Fan Rian's eyes gleamed with determination. I'll handle it immediately. See to it discreetly, and ensure our family's hands remain clean. You can count on me, Mom. Chapter 1805. Plot. Jia Hemming was not surprised that he was rejected again. Upon his return to the government office, Jia Hemming informed Zheng Sang that if the Fan family persisted in their refusal to cooperate, he would enlist Sang's assistance along with a few others for official matters the following day. He lamented that without their cooperation, resolving the matter seemed as improbable as a cold day in hell. The Fan family's obstinate attitude proved to be a formidable obstacle, hindering progress at every turn. Deputy Prefect Guan remained indifferent, content to engage in fruitless discussions and endless dialogue without taking decisive action. Yet, Jia Hemming remained undeterred, resolved to adhere to Lord Xiao's directives. However, he never anticipated the ambush awaiting him on his journey back from the government office. As he gradually regained consciousness, the moon hung high in the sky, its pale glow casting an eerie light. The stifling humidity of midsummer lingered, suffocating and oppressive in the still night air. Every movement sent waves of agony coursing through his body, from his head to his arms and legs. As he gingerly touched a tender spot at the corner of his mouth, the broken and scabbed skin elicited a sharp pain. Surveying the desolate alley where he lay, a sense of foreboding washed over him. Despite the pain racking his body, he struggled to his feet and staggered back towards the prefect's office. Meanwhile, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian, new parents adjusting to the demands of their infant, sought much-needed rest. Even with the assistance of nannies and maids, the newborn's cries demanded Xiao Xian's maternal attention. Anan proved to be quite proficient in crying and throwing tantrums, demonstrating a remarkable clinginess that saw her bursting into tears the moment she woke, seeking solace only from Xiao Xian. Despite the efforts of the nanny, she adamantly refused to drink milk from anyone but her mother and required feeding 3 times throughout the night. As a result, the nanny and maids primarily assisted with basic tasks such as changing diapers, adjusting bedding, and entertaining Anan when she was awake. Xiao Xian briefly contemplated allowing Anan to cry it out and rely on the servants for comfort, but her maternal instincts won out each time, unable to bear her child's distress. Ultimately, Xiao Xian resigned herself to the situation, recognizing that Anan's preference for her was due to their biological bond. Despite the challenges, she found solace in the assistance of household staff and occasional support from her husband. It wasn't that Xiao Xian hadn't considered letting Anan cry and allowing the nanny and maids to tend to him. Perhaps he would grow accustomed to it with time. But she couldn't bring herself to do it. Anan would start crying pitifully, and within moments, Xiao Xian's heart would melt with sympathy once more. In the end, she decided to let things be. Her baby was drawn to her because she was his biological mother. Why should she force herself to appear as a distant stepmother? With a servant to assist her, she was spared the burden of household chores. Her husband's occasional help and companionship were enough for her to manage. That was sufficient for Xiao Xian. The first stretch of Anan's nightly slumber was typically the most peaceful and longest, offering Xiao Xian a precious window for rest after her demanding days. However, even in her exhausted state, Xiao Xian often found herself roused from sleep, unable to fully indulge in intimacy with her husband as fatigue overtook her. Now, just as she had managed to drift off, Lixia's hesitant voice pierced the silence of the tent. "A Euro constable's son by mentioned that Scribe Jia is here. He's badly injured, Lord." Euro Xiao Yunduan's demeanor shifted immediately. "I'll go see him." Upon hearing this, Xiao Xian's mind snapped back to awareness. Could the Fan family be behind Jia's attack? She inquired, her concern evident. Chapter 1806, bold Xiao Yunduan's expression twisted into a sneer. "No doubt it's their doing. Rest, my wife. I'll return once I've dealt with these." Xiao Xian nodded, her concern evident. "Please go quickly. Jia Hemming must be badly hurt. Don't disappoint him." Xiao Yunduan wasted no time and headed towards Jia Hemming's location. The urgency of Sun Bei's report hinted at the severity of Jia's injuries. Upon arrival, Xiao Yunduan was met with the sounds of Jia Hemming's screams of pain emanating from the treatment room. He halted the well-wishers and approached Jia Hemming directly. "How serious is it? Are you in good hands?" The doctor greeted him respectfully before offering his assessment. "Lord, the injuries are mostly external, but there are more severe wounds on his left leg, arm, and lower back, including internal injuries. I've prepared medication to be taken thrice daily. If his condition stabilizes after 3 days, we can expect improvement. However, we must monitor for signs of concussion. He must rest and avoid strenuous activity. We'll reassess his condition in 3 days. Some of the external injuries will heal with proper treatment." The doctor's sympathetic sigh hinted at the severity of Jia's ordeal. Who could have orchestrated such a vicious attack against Scribe Jia? Jia Hemming grimaced through the pain, his voice strained with bitterness. "It's my own incompetence that led to this. I never anticipated such a betrayal." Xiao Yunduan's features hardened. "Nor did I." Even he was taken aback by the audacity of the Fan clan's actions. Jia Hemming, a scribe from the state government office, had approached the Fan family for official business. Not only did they refuse to cooperate, but they also had the audacity to confront him after he issued an ultimatum. Despite lacking intermediate officials or cultivated talents in the imperial court, the Fan family dared to provoke the officials to such an extent. A true local troublemaker. Given their lawlessness, Xiao Yunduan couldn't fault Jia for his predicament. With the doctor gone, Xiao Yunduan spoke in a hushed tone, urging Jia to recount the events slowly to avoid aggravating his wounds. Grateful for the Lord's attention, Jia Hemming began by detailing the Fan family's refusal to cooperate with official matters. Their behavior had escalated, culminating in a confrontation when he issued the ultimatum. Initially, he was met with silence from the Fan family, but when he persisted, their servants aggressively chased him away. His fate didn't surprise him. However, upon returning home that evening, he fell victim to a Euro. Xiao Yunduan turned to Sun Bai, his gaze unwavering. Find out who's responsible and bring them to me. Then, launch an investigation into the Fan family. I want certainty. Though the Fan family likely orchestrated the attack, confirmation was necessary. Gathering evidence would be challenging, as it wouldn't be straightforward, and the Fan family would likely deny involvement, claiming they were framed. Taxation remained paramount, and Xiao Yunduan had no intention of being entangled in trivial matters. It wasn't worth it. As long as he confirmed that it was the Fan family who did it, he would teach them a lesson. One day tomorrow. Is that enough? Sun Bai nodded. Lord, it won't take a day. All right, go. Yes, Lord. Chapter 1807. Investigate. Xiao Yunduan turned his gaze to Jia Heming. You can recuperate here in the office. Tomorrow, I'll arrange for Madam to bring your wife to take care of you. Don't worry about the medicine. His financial means could cover the medical expenses. Jia Heming's heart warmed, and he nodded in acknowledgement, enduring the pain as he cupped his hands and offered a slight bow. Thank you, Lord Euro, rest well, Xiao Yunduan replied with a nod, casting a final glance at him before turning and exiting. He instructed an officer to attend to Jia's needs. Meanwhile, Sun Bai wasted no time in mobilizing a team to investigate the assailant who attacked Jia Heming. The Fan family wouldn't directly leave evidence behind in such matters. They would likely conceal their identities and bribe local thugs to carry out their dirty work. These thugs were known for their readiness to commit any misdeed for the right price, particularly relishing opportunities to prey on the vulnerable. Such individuals were like parasites within the city, recognized by nearly everyone in their circles. As the constable of An's prefecture, Sun Bai was intimately familiar with the dark underbelly of the region. These nefarious characters couldn't be eradicated entirely. As long as they operated within certain boundaries and didn't draw too much attention, they would evade scrutiny. However, when incidents occurred, it was relatively easy to uncover the truth within their network. Despite being newcomers, these thugs had established their own territories, each with its own leader. Within their respective zones, only locals could undertake tasks, and outsiders couldn't encroach upon their territory without consequences. However, if someone from another area undertook a job and passed it along, they would receive a portion of the proceeds. An's province, with its relatively small population and straightforward demographics, was rife with banditry, particularly due to the presence of several bandit nests nearby. These groups placed great emphasis on territorial boundaries, instilling fear in anyone who dared to infringe upon their domain. Sun Bai was well aware of these dynamics. While a powerful clan like the Fan family might not grasp the intricacies of the underworld, he did. All he needed to do was locate the gang leader in the area and inquire about who had accepted the job that night. Fear of reprisal from the authorities kept most people compliant, but outright resistance was another matter entirely. There was no need for Sun Bai to undertake this task personally. Accompanied by 2 skilled and trusted aides, he stealthily infiltrated the Fan family's mansion under the cover of night. The Fan family employed 2 martial artists to guard their estate, along with training their young and robust servants in basic combat techniques. Such precautions were common among the affluent families of An's province, where wealth often meant being a target for various threats. In the martial arts world, home guards required considerable upkeep. They demanded quality food, clothing, lodging, transportation, and even a servant, with the going rate this year hovering around 500 taels. The better the guard, the higher the price commanded. Take, for instance, the Mei family's renowned guards, each fetching a yearly salary of 1,000 taels of silver for their services. However, the Fan clan operated differently. They needed robust manpower for woodcutting and transportation in the mountains, preparing for potential emergencies. Consequently, they couldn't afford such lavish expenditures. Their guards were paid a modest sum of 400 taels annually, reflecting their limited martial prowess. With such lax security, sneaking in for Sun Bai would be as effortless as flipping his hand. It seemed unlikely that the two old masters of the Fan family would orchestrate such a clumsy scheme. More likely culprits were either old lady Fan herself or the great-aunt who had inherited her cunning. Interrogating their trusted aides wouldn't prove too troublesome. Chapter 1808, Capture Xiao Yunduan's inevitable clash with the three big families loomed closer with each passing day. Since his arrival, Sun Bai and his team had meticulously gathered intelligence on the inner workings of these influential households, familiarizing themselves with the layouts of their mansions. Without hesitation, Sun Bai made his move, targeting Fan Ruyan and her husband's courtyard. Fortune smiled upon him as he apprehended Granny Hang, Fan Ruyan's confidante, in the dead of night. Awakening to a sharp blade at her neck, the old woman trembled in terror, spilling every detail at Sun Bai's prompting. She absolved herself of blame, insisting she was merely a messenger, with Madame Yuezheng and Fan Ruyan orchestrating the scheme through the housekeeper. Unmoved by her pleas, Sun Bai swiftly rendered her unconscious and departed under the cloak of darkness. Simultaneously, the government office executed another successful arrest. Locating the local gang leader, they briefed him on the situation. With a knowing smile, the gang leader promptly dispatched his subordinates to investigate. In less than 2 hours, they had their suspects. 4 individuals, quivering with fear, were brought in for questioning. These street-smart individuals swiftly realized the gravity of their situation. Having accepted a job mere hours earlier, each pocketing 8 taels of silver, they now found themselves in custody. It was clear that their sudden apprehension was no coincidence. In the shadows of the night, the intricate web of deception and intrigue continued to unravel. Regret gnawed at the 4 of them. They knew they shouldn't have accepted the job. Stealing small items from market stalls was one thing, but crossing paths with officials was an entirely different matter. Even though Jia Hemming was just a lowly scribe, harming him was akin to insulting the entire government office. Their ill-fated decision had caught up with them. Trembling with fear, they dared not deceive their boss. Confessing immediately, they knelt on the ground, pleading for clemency. But mercy was not forthcoming. They were swiftly escorted back to the government office and thrown into jail. The following morning, Xiao Yunduan oversaw a public interrogation. The 4 were swiftly convicted, sentenced to 30 strokes of the cane, a fine of 20 taels of silver, and 6 months' imprisonment. Meanwhile, news of the proceedings reached Jia Hemming's wife, Ms. Fong, who had come to the office to check on him. Witnessing the swift justice being meted out, she felt a sense of vindication. Wiping away her tears, she hurried back to her husband's side. Grateful for the support, she reflected on the kindness shown by Lord and Lady Xiao. They had offered comfort and assurance, promising justice for her husband and ensuring he wouldn't suffer in vain. Madame Xiao stayed true to her promise. The spectators erupted into murmurs. Those with hidden agendas had to tread even more cautiously. Lord Xiao was clearly standing firmly behind the government official. Among the prominent families, it was widely believed that the Fan family was behind this incident. However, no one expected the government to respond so swiftly. What transpired last night was resolved by morning. Clearly, the culprit had been apprehended overnight. Lord Xiao showed no leniency whatsoever. Many speculated about the sanity of the Fan family. What could have prompted old Lady Fan to act so recklessly? It seemed she was the only one capable of such brazen behavior. Chapter 1809, Going to the Fan family. If old Lady Fan had refrained from touching Scribe Jia, perhaps there would have been a chance to negotiate with Lord Xiao. They could have facilitated a few years of transition. But now, who could predict if Lord Xiao would still be around after that time? Yet, she couldn't risk causing trouble for Lord Xiao herself. Instead, she resorted to paying hooligans to rough up Scribe Jia. Now, her options for retreat were blocked. Despite Lord Xiao's potential retaliation, no one dared to speak against him. News of the interrogation results swiftly reached the Fan family. Old Lady Fan sneered, he got off lightly. She harbored no regrets, nor did she feel any fear. Just a twinge of irritation at Xiao Yunduan's unexpected swiftness. Nanny Hang was privy to the events as well. Recalling the previous night sent shivers down her spine, her legs almost giving way from fear. She wouldn't dare breathe a word about what happened, not even to her master. Pretending it never occurred seemed the safest course. Yet, she dreaded the thought of that person returning or implicating her. Nanny Hang, usually resolute in aiding Fan Ruyan, now felt a disquieting unease. Her instincts warned her of impending trouble. Upon the verdict's announcement, Jing Sang and his men barricaded the Fan family's exits, preventing anyone from leaving. The entire Fan clan was thrown into shock. And the news spread like wildfire throughout An's province, drawing a crowd outside the Fan family's gates, swelling with each passing moment. It resembled a bustling fair, if not even livelier. When Old Lady Fan received the news, she was in the midst of sipping Cubelos soup with Fan Ruyan and Bairuerue. Old Lady Fan nearly flung the Cubelos bowl from her grasp. Absurd. What kind of twisted logic is this? Her voice crackled with anger as she rose to her feet. I'll see who dares to stop me from leaving. Mom. Fan Ruyan was taken aback but quickly intervened. Please, calm yourself. You're the matriarch of our family, our guiding light. There's no need for you to personally handle such trivial matters. I assure you, there's no evidence left from last night's incident. If anyone dares to confront us, they'll have to apologize. Old Lady Fan softened at her daughter's words. If you say so, then fine. Fan Ruyan smiled reassuringly. I'm certain. The silver he handed over appeared as ordinary banknotes. The messenger sent to deal with the hooligans was a trusted servant from the village, his face obscured. As for witnesses, they were easily swayed or coerced by the government into falsehoods and framing others. Lord Shao's influence was indeed formidable. And where were elder brother and second brother when all this happened? And sister-in-law and second sister-in-law. Fan Ruyan seized any opportunity to tease her siblings, a habit she couldn't seem to break. Old Lady Fan's expression darkened at the mention, a disdainful snort escaping her lips. First Old Master Fan and second Old Master Fan rushed in, their wives trailing anxiously behind. Mother, what's happening? Yes, what is Lord Shao playing at? Despite her initial displeasure at Fan Ruyan's jab, Old Lady Fan's frustration dwindled slightly. Chapter 1810, Locking the Door. Why would I know? Are you here to interrogate me? Eldest Old Master, second Old Master, and their wives stood in stunned silence, exchanging bewildered glances. They couldn't fathom why their mother was once again directing her anger towards them. First Madame Fan and second Mrs. Fan, positioned nearby with lowered heads, inwardly sneered. Was there even a need to ask? Couldn't they see who was standing right here? Had she ever refrained from meddling? No, Mother, please don't misunderstand. We came specifically to discuss how to handle this situation, eldest Old Master stammered. Yes. Second Old Master chimed in. Old Lady Fan's sneer deepened. They're already at our doorstep. What do you propose? They want to accuse the Fan family without evidence. Do they think we're pushovers? Chase them away, quickly. Initially, the two Old Masters harbored some hope, but now, they were convinced their mother must have orchestrated the assault on Jia Hemming the previous night. And their biological sister was likely involved too. They felt utterly powerless. This wasn't the time for reckless confrontation with Lord Shao. They needed to strategize, consider all options and escape routes before making a move. How could they act so impulsively? Jia Hemming was a clerk from the state government office, a member of the government. Everyone in An's province knew he was Lord Shao's right-hand man. Striking him would be a direct affront to Lord Shao. Was Lord Shao someone to trifle with? The individuals assaulted the previous night and the hired hooligans were apprehended. Today, the hooligans faced severe punishment, and now, someone had come to the Fan familiar. The two brothers sighed inwardly, knowing better than to criticize their mother. They often joked that their biological sister could provoke their mother with just 10 words. Mother, fret not. We'll handle the negotiations. Without evidence, it's not easy to tarnish our family's name, eldest Old Master assured. then get on with it. Old Lady Fan snapped. The brothers felt a slight relief. If their mother spoke so confidently, the other party likely lacked evidence. They trusted her judgment. Though she could be domineering, she wouldn't leave herself vulnerable to accusations. As long as there was no evidence, they should be fine. Accompanied by the butler, guards, and servants, the brothers swung the door open with a resounding bang, fixing stern gazes on Jing Sang and his cohorts. The air grew taut, charged with tension. "Constable Zheng, what's the meaning of this?" Eldest Old Master's voice cut through the silence, his demeanor icy. Jing Sang met his gaze squarely. "Ha," he scoffed, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Are you truly unaware, or are you feigning ignorance? Don't play dumb." Second Old Master retorted sharply. "Constable Zheng, refrain from baseless accusations. Evidence is required for any claims." Indeed. Lord Shao is known for his integrity and clear judgment. It's inconceivable he would resort to tyranny, Eldest Old Master added. Zheng Sang chuckled. "Our Lord embodies fairness and clarity, which sometimes invites the misconception that he's easily manipulated. It's best you come clean now. Refusal may not bode well." "Preposterous." Second Old Master snapped. "We won't confess to a crime we didn't commit. Just because Scribe Jia was assaulted doesn't implicate our family. Without evidence, you have no grounds to target us." Chapter 18:11, to reveal what one was intended to hide. First Old Master Fan sneered, his gaze challenging. Zheng Sang met his stare head-on. "Do you share his sentiment?" "Absolutely," First Old Master Fan replied, his tone deliberate. "We believe in reason and legality." Zheng Sang smirked. "So, you also believe Scribe Jia's situation has no bearing on your family?" "It's irrelevant." Zheng Sang's smirk deepened. "Interesting. So, the assault on Scribe Jia, leaving him severely injured, is entirely disconnected from the Fan family. But when did I mention Scribe Jia?" Realization dawned on the faces of those present. Indeed, Constable Zheng had never once mentioned Scribe Jia. The Fan family's old masters had brought him up unprompted. It was a clear indication of guilt, a slip-up revealing what they sought to conceal. The two old masters stood dumbfounded, realizing they'd been outmaneuvered. Though not admissible in court, the implication was glaring to all present, a humiliating blow. Scribe Jia's assault last night and Constable Zheng's visit this morning naturally raised suspicions. "Why else would you be here?" First Old Master attempted to rationalize. Zheng Sang scoffed. "You truly don't know why I'm here? Yet, you immediately jump to the conclusion of Scribe Jia's involvement. Perhaps you're overly perceptive or conveniently forgetful? Make yourself clear." Second Old Master Fan had learned his lesson and was no longer led by the nose by him. Zheng Sang brandished the document Jia Hemming had delivered to the Fan family the previous day, his tone icy. "Scribe Jia has visited your premises thrice. You should be well aware of his purpose. Today marks the deadline for your cooperation with the government's investigation into your fields. Refusal will result in consequences. So, will you accompany me now to aid in the thorough investigation, or shall I proceed to seal the residence? Lord Shao insists on resolution today. Non-compliance will lead to immediate sealing of your residence, followed by your shops tomorrow. Subsequently, stewards from all Fan family farms will be summoned to the government office until you comply. Mind you, Lord Shao cares for his subjects like his own kin. Your family may dispatch one individual, accompanied by 2 servants, for daily purchases. However, all carriages must undergo inspection, with only the coachman permitted to accompany them. Do you two have anything else to say?" The hearts of the 2 old masters of the Fan family turned cold. They had really forgotten about this. This was because they had never thought that the government would have the guts to do this to the Fan family. They were acutely aware of the numerous fertile fields the Fan clan had kept hidden and unregistered. If they were to rectify this now, it would mean relinquishing further sums of money annually. And the inevitable upheaval at their mother's residence loomed large. They might even have to dip into their personal funds to smooth things over. The mere thought of it caused a pang of anxiety. Among the onlookers, murmurs spread like wildfire. So that's the situation. Lord Shao means business. It's about time. Why do these wealthy families avoid taxes? Exactly. With all their wealth, they still resort to such underhanded tactics. Shameless greed, I say. Chapter 1812, Mixing. The richer you are, the stingier you are. Who would think that they have too much money? That's what Lord Shao should do. These two old masters are interesting. They actually forgot such a big matter and actually confessed. Hee. Hang on. Zheng Sang's gaze gleamed with confidence. His entourage comprised individuals of utmost utility, some his own trusted allies, others former bailiffs now honed into formidable agents. Their presence alone exerted a palpable pressure on the Fan family. And even if, by some miracle, the Fan family could muster the strength to oppose them, who would dare attack officials in broad daylight, especially after witnessing the fate of those hooligans? Risking a beating and imprisonment was simply unthinkable. The two old masters of the Fan family grasped the grim reality. Unless they conceded defeat, there was no end in sight to this standoff. Perhaps they could have negotiated, but after the events of the previous night, such a prospect seemed futile. Lord Shao wouldn't entertain further discussions. Moreover, criticism of Lord Shao was off-limits. After all, the Fan clan had initiated hostilities. Even lacking concrete evidence, their guilt was clear to all. But capitulating under such circumstances would be a bitter pill to swallow. Just then, Deputy Prefect Guan hurried over with two attendants. His heart skipped a beat at the sight before him. After exchanging pleasantries, he addressed the pressing issue at hand. This situation can't be allowed to linger. We must find a resolution. How about this? First Old Master Fan, second Old Master Fan, let's convene inside and discuss matters further. Seeing a potential resolution, the two old masters of the Fan family breathed a sigh of relief, nodding in agreement as they courteously ushered Deputy Prefect Guan into the Fan residence. Having Deputy Prefect Guan present was ideal. He could facilitate discussions with their mother. Zheng Sang raised no objections, personally positioning his men to guard the residence's entrance, ensuring no one could leave while allowing entry. He mused that Lord Shao's judgment had been correct. Deputy Prefect Guan should have remained in the crowd, intervening only as a last resort. Since Lord Shao had assigned this task to him, it was fitting for him to take charge now. He anticipated the outcome of negotiations between Deputy Prefect Guan and the Fan family. Old Lady Fan was notorious for her stubbornness. As expected, Old Lady Fan erupted in fury, hurling curses in Deputy Prefect Guan's direction. Though not explicitly directed at him, he still felt uneasy. After all, he held a middling official position. Yet, Deputy Prefect Guan lacked the confidence and authority to confront the Fan family as Xiao Yunduan would. He had no choice but to endure Old Lady Fan's tirade, avoiding any direct association with the scolding. It was during this confrontation that Deputy Prefect Guan learned of the Fan family's extensive land holdings over 260,000 mu, with only 150,000 mu officially registered with the government. Over 50,000 mu remained concealed. Considering the scarcity of paddy fields in An's province, this was a substantial sum, akin to the fertile lands of Jiangnan. Deputy Prefect Guan was stunned. Old Lady Fan adamantly refused to pay taxes on these unregistered lands, citing the family's historical contributions to the government. She implored Lord Shao to show mercy, warning that further pressure from him would only lead to mutual destruction. Chapter 1813, Bold. The two old masters of the Fan family skillfully persuaded their mother while subtly hinting to Deputy Prefect Guan about the benefits they sought. Simultaneously, they exerted both coaxing and force to sway his decision. Deputy Prefect Guan found himself irresistibly drawn to the promised benefits from the Fan family, amounting to 200 taels of silver annually. Considering his salary fell short of this amount to him, this represented a significant sum, especially in his current financial predicament. Compounded by his failed instigation of the bailiffs, resulting in substantial financial losses, he was in dire need of funds. Moreover, the Fan family's proposition held weight. As deputy prefect, his actions could easily go unnoticed by Xiao Yunduan. And even if they were discovered, Xiao Yunduan lacked the power to penalize him. Gritting his teeth, Deputy Prefect Guan reluctantly acquiesced. That day, negotiations between Deputy Prefect Guan and the Fan family concluded in a unanimous agreement. The family dispatched a butler, while Guan arranged for an investigation of the fertile lands. It was eventually discovered that the Fan family had neglected to register 10,000 mu of fertile fields with the government. Deputy Prefect Guan promptly reported the findings to Xiao Yunduan and rectified the oversight. Upon review, Xiao Yunduan nodded approvingly and instructed Deputy Prefect Guan to continue his duties. With the Fan clan serving as an example, subsequent tasks became more manageable. The Fan clan's resolute stance had nearly caused them embarrassment. None could match their determination. Though the Mei family and the Hua family might have posed comparably, their lack of interest in contention was apparent from the outset. Deputy Prefect Guan basked in his self-satisfaction, boasting profusely in the provincial office and metaphorically treading upon Jia Hemming. What use was Jia Hemming? He sneered. Incompetence, he concluded, was synonymous with trouble. Not only did they fail to resolve matters, but they also stirred up chaos, causing suffering not only for themselves but also for those around Thema Euro. Meanwhile, Jia Hemming, still recovering, seethed with anger. Yet Deputy Prefect Guan's satisfaction only swelled further. The Fan family, though outwardly accepting of the outcome, harbored deep dissatisfaction. Formerly paying nominal taxes, they now faced a staggering sum, forced to declare 160,000 mu, a substantial burden. This was a financial blow. Were it not for Lord Xiao's unwavering stance, they would not have capitulated so readily. Now, having concealed tens of thousands of mu, they salvaged what little dignity remained. The Fan clan, however, perceived no wrongdoing. Xiao had taken a sizable chunk from them, could they not resist? Even if he were aware, turning a blind eye was expected to Euro. This realization didn't escape others' notice. Observing the Fan clan's ability to conceal such vast holdings, many were tempted to follow suit. After all, who would complain of excess wealth? Hoarding seemed the prudent choice, a long-term strategy. Buoyed by this scheme, Deputy Prefect Guan grew bolder. Why should he pass up such a lucrative opportunity? He congratulated himself on a job well done. The resolution coincided with the approaching August 15th festival, with the autumn harvest following shortly after. During the Mid-Autumn Festival, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan found themselves amidst a bustling gathering, far from the solitude of previous years. Ainan's appearance seemed to evolve daily. His once small eyebrows now flourished, framing his fair and tender visage. Adorable hardly captured his essence, particularly his captivating eyes, reminiscent of lustrous black grapes, shimmering with an enchanting watery allure capable of softening any heart. Though not yet a month old, he couldn't yet partake in moon-gazing, but he delighted in meeting the various guests. Among them were Zheng Sang, Ms. Song, Ms. Miao, and Xiao Qiao, all converging upon the state office for the festivities. With the addition of Mian, Ai, Sun Bai, Sun Xian, Songshi, Li Xia, Li Qiu, and Kai Yun, the atmosphere surpassed even that of the New Year celebrations. Chapter 1814, Mid-Autumn. Zheng Xiao dispatched a messenger to deliver an array of gifts. Fresh and rare fruits, delectable mooncakes, and assorted sweets adorned every corner, appearing effortlessly placed yet exuding an air of casual elegance. The children, delighted by the treats, bubbled with joy. Acknowledging the diligence of everyone in the office, Xiao Yunduan distributed 2 taels of silver as holiday bonuses along with 2 boxes of premium mooncakes from the esteemed Guanchuan garden in the city, a gesture extended even to the bailiffs. This gesture sparked a wave of jubilation and gratitude among the staff. Praises such as, "Lord Xiao's wisdom knows no bounds," and "His kindness knows no limit," echoed, accompanied by expressions of unwavering loyalty. The outpouring of appreciation was boundless, a testament to the unprecedented treatment bestowed upon them. The mooncakes, crafted by the city's finest, Guanchuan garden, were not mere trifles. Each box contained 6 sumptuous pieces, priced at a considerable 100 copper coins per box. Furthermore, the inclusion of 2 taels of silver was significant. Even the most ordinary bailiffs and servants possessed such wealth. Considering their modest monthly earnings €1, 2 taels for the bailiffs and 1 tael for the servants €1, the bonus was indeed substantial. That evening, the east courtyard of the state government office transformed into a scene of festivity, with 5 large round tables accommodating all. The culinary feast, masterfully orchestrated by Ms. Song, Li Xia, and others under Qiao Xian's guidance, featured an impressive spread. From steamed mandarin fish to dompa meat, potato chicken to braised ribs, and a plethora of other delectable dishes, the menu was a testament to their culinary prowess. Qiao Xian even saw fit to procure some fine wine for the occasion. Amidst the convivial atmosphere, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, once considered as intermediate figures, forged a bond as they engaged in lively conversation and shared laughter. As the moon hung high overhead, a mutual understanding prevailed among the attendees. Aware that Madame was still in confinement, they bid their farewells respectfully before relocating to continue their merriment. Ainan had been thoroughly entertained throughout the day, leaving him pleasantly fatigued and ready for a restful night's sleep. Meanwhile, Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian sat together by the window, gazing up at the radiant full moon above. Though Qiao Xian's appearance remained unchanged, her pale countenance gradually flushed with color. Her eyes sparkled with vitality, yet despite her energy, Xiao Yunduan remained steadfast in keeping her confined indoors during her recovery period. Though Qiao Xian knew she had fully recuperated and had no need for a month-long confinement, tradition held sway, with everyone from Xiao Yunduan to Ms. Song, Li Xia, and Li Qiu insisting on adherence to custom. Thus, Qiao Xian found herself resigned to her room. As the night progressed into the midpoint of autumn, with more than half of her confinement period behind her, Xiao Yunduan considered himself fortunate to share this tranquil moment with his wife, peering at the moon's luminous glow through the window. The moonlight cast a gentle glow, illuminating the courtyard below. Flowers, branches, and leaves danced in its ethereal radiance, casting intricate patterns of light and shadow upon the ground. The scene evoked a sense of whimsical beauty, reminiscent of coral formations, adding an enchanting aura to the surroundings. The air itself seemed to shimmer with clarity, akin to sunlight filtering through crystal-clear waters. This mid-autumn celebration is particularly lively, isn't it? It's been a while since we've experienced such vibrancy during the intermediate autumn. I imagine the excitement will only escalate come the new year, remarked Xiao Xian, nestled contentedly in Xiao Yunduan's embrace. Indeed, agreed Xiao Yunduan, his gaze tenderly fixed upon his cherished wife. And as time goes on, the festivities will only grow grander. Next year, as Ainan continues to grow, perhaps we can invite our parents to join in the celebrations. Chapter 18:15. Haven't tried it yet. Xiao Xian couldn't help but chuckle at the thought. Ainan would only be a year old next year, hardly the time for him to cause a stir. After all, he hadn't even reached toddlerhood yet. But imagining the little one's future antics filled Xiao Xian with excitement once more. Her eyes gleamed with anticipation, her smile growing even more radiant and warm. Xiao Yunduan, his gaze deep with affection, gently caressed her waist with one hand. Leaning in, he planted a tender kiss on her cheek, his voice a soft murmur against her ear. You seem to have filled out a bit. Xiao Xian's senses sharpened instantly. Tilting her chin up, she widened her eyes in mock offense. Are you saying I'm getting fat? Postpartum, every woman harbored concerns about regaining their pre-pregnancy figure. Such sensitivities couldn't be brushed off casually, especially by her husband. In truth, Xiao Xian had shed much of her pregnancy weight. Her affinity with the wood element boded well for her physical recovery, assuring her of returning to peak condition in due time. Upon realizing this, she relaxed. After all, who wouldn't be conscious of their appearance? Her concerns were for herself alone. Of course not. Xiao Yunduan reassured her, enfolding her in his embrace with a soft chuckle. You're perfect just the way you are. You were beautiful before, and you're beautiful now. Xiao Xian couldn't contain her laughter. Gazing up at him, she teased, so, which is €1, better before or now? Xiao Yunduan's smile deepened, a hint of mischief dancing in his eyes as he replied suggestively, I know what was good before, but I've yet to experience the pleasures of now. A rosy blush spread across Xiao Xian's cheeks, her eyes alight with playful embarrassment. She attempted to maintain her composure as she inquired, experience what? Regret immediately washed over her. Why did she ask? She wished she could retract the question the moment it left her lips. True to form, Xiao Yunduan's chuckle grew more intimate as he drew her closer, whispering something in her ear that caused her blush to deepen. Finally, he kissed her with such fervor that she melted into his embrace, the boundaries of her confinement momentarily forgotten. Following the mid-autumn festivities, Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan turned their attention to planning their son's one-month-old banquet. Having received congratulations from most well-wishers already, they focused on finalizing the guest list and menu. Xiao Xian expressed a desire to highlight potatoes, intending to promote their culinary versatility. After deliberation, they settled on 2 potato-centric dishes: stir-fried shredded potatoes with a tangy, slightly spicy flavor, and fried potato pancakes. These would be served alongside steamed buns and fried dumplings, providing a hearty main course. Xiao Yunduan readily agreed, praising the potential of potatoes. Indeed, it's an excellent choice. I've observed the potato crops, both here and in the capital, and they're thriving. With high yields and adaptability to various climates, promoting them could be a boon, especially for regions facing agricultural challenges. Even in times of plenty, they offer sustenance to impoverished families with limited land. Grinning fondly at his wife, he continued, any merit accrued in Anne's province will undoubtedly be attributed to you, my dear. Marrying you has been the greatest blessing of my life. Chapter 18:16. Gained. Xiao Xian's heart swelled with warmth, though she refrained from voicing it aloud. Oh, you're quite the charmer, she teased. Xiao Yunduan chuckled, planting a tender kiss on her lips. His wife's playful pretense only endeared her to him further, igniting an urge to draw her closer. With the decision made to feature potatoes at the banquet, Xiao Xian promptly issued orders for their harvest. Months of development, cultivation, and planting had transformed the landscape. The once rough terrain now boasted a meticulously maintained road, wide enough for 2 carriages to pass comfortably. Its surface, compacted and reinforced with a layer of crushed stones, remained resilient against rain-induced erosion. Across the sprawling expanse, medicinal herbs and potatoes thrived. Though some herbs required years to mature, their lush growth signaled Xiao Yunduan's enduring commitment to Anne's province, hinting at multiple terms of governance. Anticipating the next planting season, Xiao Xian outlined plans to introduce additional crops like Gastrodia alata, Baikal skullcap, and false starworts in the forested slopes. As the harvest season approached for the 2,000 mu of potatoes, news of the novel crop spread swiftly, fueled by the efforts of Songshi, Lu Fu, Mianmian, and others. Despite the populace's anticipation, many had yet to taste the tubers, prompting a surge of curiosity and speculation. Upon the conclusion of Ainan's one-month-old banquet, Xiao Xian intended to gradually introduce the potatoes to the market, offering them in limited quantities for culinary use, sustenance, and seed propagation. Additionally, she planned to provide free guidance on planting and cultivation techniques, ensuring widespread adoption and prosperity. As for 2,000 mu, after being activated by her superpower, the yield was at least 4,000 caddies. It was enough to supply them all together. After all, not everyone was so accepting. Not everyone would buy it. It was still early for 50,000 mu in the forest. This winter, they would hire more people during the farming time. It would be best if they could all cultivate the land and plant pepper, star anise, and pepper next year. The 1,000 mu of Sichuan peppers this year were also growing very well. The seeds planted were originally 2 years old, and they could hang fruits next year. Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian's actions were very eye-catching. They dug potatoes with great fanfare and hired so many people, which attracted a lot of attention. Amidst the potato harvesting operation, crowds gathered, some to witness the spectacle, others with less noble intentions, seeking to poach from the bountiful fields. Witnessing the remarkably high production rate, many onlookers were astounded, prompting a barrage of skeptical inquiries. Would the potatoes taste palatable? Could they truly satisfy hunger? Were they versatile enough to serve as both a staple and a vegetable? Seizing the opportunity, Songshur and his cohorts reiterated the merits of the crop, assuaging doubts and reaffirming its potential. They announced plans to commence sales after the young master's one-month-old banquet, inviting all interested parties to purchase. However, the Fan family and Mrs. Guan sneered at these efforts, dismissing them as mere profit-seeking schemes. Ignorant of the crop's characteristics and benefits, they failed to recognize its value beyond monetary gain. Chapter 1817, One-month-old banquet. Some individuals found themselves genuinely intrigued by Madame Xiao's confident assertions, reasoning that she wouldn't risk implicating Lord Xiao unless she spoke the truth. With plans to purchase the potatoes when they became available, they saw little harm in giving them a try or even cultivating some themselves. On the day of Ainan's one-month-old banquet, the state government office buzzed with activity. Dozens of tables adorned the backyard, where male guests congregated, while female guests occupied seats in the east courtyard. Qiao Xian summoned a cadre of trusted individuals: Sayuro, Ms. Song, Ms. Miao, Qiao Qiao, Songshur, Qing Yan, Mian Mian, Li Xia, Li Qiu, Kaiyue, and Kaiyunayuro, to assist with the day's preparations. Each was assigned specific tasks, ensuring seamless coordination throughout the festivities. While the garden affairs could be managed with the help of Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and other bailiffs, the east courtyard demanded unwavering attention to prevent any mishaps during the celebration. It was imperative to maintain the utmost decorum, especially when attending to the guests. As the guests arrived for the one-month-old celebration, all eyes naturally turned to the baby. Nanny Kaiming and her assistants, Kaiyun and Kaiyue, remained on high alert, steadfast in their duty to safeguard Ainan's well-being. Throughout the day, Li Xia and her counterparts remained vigilant, discreetly attending to the needs of both guests and maidservants. However, notable absentees included the Fan clan, who harbored a desire to attend but ultimately refrained. Old Lady Fan's previous misjudgment, influenced by Fan Rui's slander, had strained relations. Until formally invited by Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, they remained on the sidelines, unsure of their welcome. Despite being one of the three prominent families in An's province, the Fan clan anticipated deference from the prefect lord, given their stature. Moreover, their recent cooperation in the investigation of land holdings had already demonstrated their willingness to cooperate, providing the prefect lord with sufficient face. However, to their surprise, no representatives from the Xiao family arrived. As time ticked on, it became increasingly apparent that no invitation would be forthcoming. Old Lady Fan's initial disappointment swiftly turned to indignation. "This is outrageous. Outrageous. I won't forget this." Fueling her fire, Fan Ruin speculated, "I suppose it's because we showed leniency this time, making the prefect lord think we're easy prey. They're taking advantage of our generosity. But mark my words, when the prefect lord departs An's province, their true colors will show." Euro frustrated, Old Lady Fan found herself yearning for the mountain bandits of yesteryear, once feared but now wished for to humble Lord Xiao. The Fan family's elders hesitated to approach Old Lady Fan, foreseeing the inevitable ridicule that would follow their absence. While other families eagerly attended the state office banquet, the absence of the Fan clan was met with little surprise or disappointment. Reflecting on the situation, the first old master and madam lamented, "Mother's temperament remains unchanged, but the current prefect lord is not like his predecessors. How times have changed." The first Madame Fan remained silent, well aware of past tensions between their families, particularly involving the prefect's daughter, who had suffered indignities at the hands of Bararui. Chapter 1818, Potatoes. Such incidents were not isolated occurrences for the Fan clan. Accustomed to their privileged status, Old Lady Fan and her daughter had long held themselves above others. Historically, the prefect lords lacked the confidence and authority to challenge the entrenched power of long-standing families like theirs, relying on their support for various matters. However, the current prefect lord was a different breed. Unfazed by the Fan clan's haughty demeanor, he represented a new era, one where their arrogance was met with resistance. Inwardly, First Madame Fan couldn't help but feel that her mother's arrogance had invited their current misfortune. Perhaps it's fitting, she mused to herself, for her to face consequences for her perpetual arrogance. Although she agreed with her husband's assessment, First Madame Fan maintained a facade of gentility. Mother is of noble birth, she offered diplomatically. I believe Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao have shown undue disrespect. Regardless, our mother is an elder and deserves reverence. Observing his wife's tactful response, the first old master smiled knowingly, choosing not to press the matter further. He understood the delicate balance required in navigating their family dynamics, especially concerning old lady Fan's sensibilities. Perhaps I should speak with mother and attempt to reason with her, he suggested tentatively, acknowledging the need for diplomacy in managing familial conflicts. First Madame Fan couldn't help but sneer inwardly at her husband's suggestion. If you think you can persuade her, be prepared for a scolding in return. I'm not sure. Perhaps we should consult with my sister-in-law first, she suggested, masking her contempt with a veneer of diplomacy. The first old master's heart sank at the prospect. Frowning, he sighed inwardly, realizing that he would need to tread carefully. Perhaps it was best to keep certain matters hidden from his mother and sister going forward. He found himself fervently wishing for the prefect lord's transfer, hoping to alleviate the tensions within his family. Meanwhile, in the state office's backyard, guests were treated to a traditional banquet spread. While the dishes were sumptuous, many of the women had previously sampled Xiao Xian's delectable cooking and were eager for something new. Their anticipation peaked when stir-fried shredded potatoes were surveyed, a novel dish prepared from Madame Xiao's potatoes. The golden strands, lightly sautéed with green peppers, exuded an enticing aroma, piquing everyone's interest. As they sampled the dish, they were delighted by its crispy texture and tangy, spicy flavor, a refreshing departure from the usual fare. The arrival of potato pancakes further impressed the guests, who praised the unique fragrance and flavor. It's delicious. Who knew potatoes could taste this good? Lord and Madame Xiao have truly brought something special to Anne's province. They're so considerate. The consensus was clear. The introduction of potatoes had elevated the culinary experience and won the admiration of all present. Chapter 18:19. It looks very effective, true. €30% of the praises were mere compliments, but a staggering 70% emanated from genuine appreciation. The flavor was commendable, versatile enough for cooking various dishes, even pancakes. The maidservants' casual mentions of different cooking techniques added an air of reliability and allure to the dishes. Many attendees anticipated the opening of Madame Xiao's stall for purchase. They planned to procure some and experiment with additional recipes in their kitchens. Despite their affluence, the attendees pondered the significance of such provisions, acknowledging the potential boon they could provide during times of scarcity or calamity. Xiao Xian regarded the matter with earnestness, her satisfaction evident as Li Xia and others relayed the feedback to her with smiles. Xiao Xian's genuine happiness was palpable. Whether it was due to the dish's deliciousness or her personal preference, authenticity shone through. She understood that insincere praise would not enhance the dish's appeal. Purposefully, Xiao Xian ensured the other dishes remained subdued, allowing the spotlight to remain on the potatoes. Her strategy proved effective. As the banquet concluded, guests departed gradually. Some lingered, indulging in drinks until the moon adorned the night sky before bidding their farewells. Xiao Yunduan remained silent until he dispatched someone to inquire. Xiao Xian had already drifted into sleep, as had Anan, who had spent the day in joyful activity. After ensuring his son was settled, Xiao Yunduan entered the bedroom. The rustle of his clothes roused Xiao Xian from her half-slumber. Her drowsy gaze brightened at the sight of him, accompanied by a gentle smile. Her words came out in a soft murmur, "You're back. Are they gone too?" Xiao Yunduan nodded, a soft chuckle escaping his lips as he settled beside her, enfolding her in his embrace. "Why are you awake? Aren't you tired?" Xiao Xian returned the smile. "Of course, I am tired. I've been on edge all day because of your son. I've been so tense, not daring to relax for a second, fearing something might happen. Thankfully, the Fan family wasn't present today. I've silently thanked them countless times." Xiao Yunduan chuckled, planting kisses on her forehead and cheeks. "Seems like the Fan family isn't so bad after all. You're quite sensible." right?" she responded with a soft laugh. Their smiles met in silent understanding. Xiao Yanduan's gaze softened as he spoke gently. "My son has exhausted you today. As his father, I must make it up to you." Qiao Xian's eyes twinkled mischievously. "And how do you plan to do that?" His smile deepened. "Remember this, and when the time is right, we'll repay you with interest." A warmth spread in Xiao Xian's heart, and she playfully scolded him, "Let's just go to sleep." After all, there was nothing more he could do. Why make things difficult for himself? Chapter 1820. Promoting potatoes. Xiao Yunduan chuckled and drew her into his embrace, gently patting her shoulders. "Yes, sleep." Xiao Xian's lips curled into a contented smile. The familiar comfort of his chest provided a sense of security, and soon she drifted back into slumber. Taking advantage of the momentum, the day following Ainan's 1-month-old banquet, the potatoes were launched onto the market. With the advantage of their own territory, there was no need for cumbersome procedures or stall arrangements. Under Song's guidance, potato sales points were strategically positioned in bustling areas across the city center. 2 days into the sale, a simple cooking setup was added beside each point. Potatoes were prepared on-site, offering passers-by free samples cooked in various styles. The display showcased the versatility of potatoes in culinary creations. Every 2 hours, fresh batches of complementary dishes were prepared: potato pancakes, spicy and sour shredded potatoes, stir-fried potato cubes, potato slices, steamed potatoes, and more, including a daily serving of deep-fried potatoes. Sold at a modest price of 4 copper coins per caddy, the potatoes were limited to 10 caddies per purchase, with a maximum of 20 caddies allowed for wealthy families or restaurants. Those desiring more had to join the queue once again. Furthermore, it was made clear that the supply was limited, and once sold out, customers would have to wait until the next year. Qiao Xian had anticipated skepticism from the commoners and expected a challenging promotional effort, thus necessitating a gradual acceptance strategy. To her surprise, the process unfolded remarkably smoothly. Generous purchases came from the affluent families who had sampled the potatoes at Ainan's banquet, while well-informed restaurants swiftly followed suit. Observing this trend, other establishments quickly jumped on the bandwagon. The commoners held Lord Xiao in high esteem for his integrity, and the Xiao family's products, being reasonably priced, found favor among them. As queues lengthened, others instinctively joined in without hesitation, recognizing the popularity and value of the product. From 2,000 mu of land, approximately 4,500 caddies of potatoes were harvested, totaling around 9 million caddies. Qiao Xian retained seeds for future cultivation on the same land and set aside a portion as gifts, mainly in gratitude for contributions from Zheng Sang and others. The remaining half was divided between An's prefecture city and 17 surrounding towns. In less than 10 days, nearly 9 million caddies of potatoes were swiftly sold out. These gestures of generosity were warmly received by scribes and bailiffs, garnering praise for Lord and Madame Xiao. Upon bringing the potatoes home, families wasted no time in preparing and relishing them. Whether stir-fried, stewed, or prepared in other ways, the taste proved exceptional. The following day, conversations buzzed within the government office as many shared their enthusiasm. Families flocked to the market early to secure their share, drawn by the delicious, practical, and affordably priced product. The buzz around potatoes quickly enveloped the entire city. Restaurants experienced a surge in potato orders, with almost every table opting to sample the versatile tuber. However, notably absent from the buyers' list was the Fan family. Fearful of old lady Fan's disapproval, no member of the Fan family dared to purchase the potatoes, as it was Madame Xiao who introduced them to the city during Lord Xiao's baby's 1-month-old banquet. Chapter 1821. The Fan family won't buy. However, curiosity stirred among the Fan household. Some servants clandestinely purchased the potatoes, which families then shared among themselves, eagerly cooking and tasting the newfound delicacy. Even first Madame Fan and second Mrs. Fan personally instructed their staff to procure and prepare some in the household kitchen. The verdict? The potatoes proved surprisingly delightful. Whether in the form of sour and spicy shredded potatoes or when incorporated into chicken and pork dishes, they offered a delightful variety of flavors. Observing the positive reception, First Madam Fan couldn't help but express her admiration to First Old Master Fan. If Madame Xiao's claims hold true, Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao have performed a great service for the people here. Such benevolence might attract heavenly blessings. Her gaze implied a caution against opposing Lord Xiao, hinting at potential repercussions. First Old Master Fan understood the subtext well, yet he lacked final authority within the Fan family's decisions. Meanwhile, Old Lady Fan caught wind of the servants' fervent discussions about potatoes. Intrigued by their enthusiasm, she summoned someone to inquire. The maidservant, flustered and tongue-tied, hesitated to respond. As Old Lady Fan pressed for answers, the maidservant eventually divulged the truth, albeit clumsily. Enraged by the revelation, Old Lady Fan demanded further investigation. Upon learning the extent of the commotion, her fury only intensified. How dare you engage in such self-serving behavior, causing such a stir? Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao must be consumed by greed. With the sale of these potatoes, they stand to make a fortune in silver taels. Drawing from her experience as a member of the Nian family, Old Lady Fan swiftly calculated the potential profits, her displeasure growing with each passing moment. The ease with which Lord Xiao seemingly amassed wealth from 2,000 mu of arid land only fueled her indignation. It appeared, in her estimation, that money was being earned far too effortlessly. Those people lack foresight. They don't even have the right to curry favor with Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao. Yet, they're all scrambling to shower Lord Xiao and Madame Xiao with gifts. Let's see how far that gets them in the future. Old Lady Fan complained and derided them. The servants dared not utter a sound, even in their sleep. Let me be clear, our family is prohibited from purchasing such items. Others may desire them, but I do not, she asserted firmly, prompting the servants to hastily agree. Yuezheng Xiao arrived bearing generous gifts for Ainan's 1-month-old banquet. Although Xie Jingrong was absent, Yuezheng Xiao had arranged for the gifts to be delivered. Staying for 3 days, Yuezheng Xiao's visit prompted Xiao Xian to task Mianmian with bringing 2 companions to assess properties in Yuzhang. With the year drawing to a close, it presented an opportune time to settle accounts with Yuezheng Xiao and collect any owed funds. Simultaneously, she planned to return to Shaoding village. Despite Yuezheng Xiao's previous correspondence, the personal touch of a servant's visit held a different significance. Mianmian excelled in managing accounts, bringing clarity and order to financial matters with ease. Xiao Xian was both surprised and pleased. She appointed 2 assistants to support Mianmian, ensuring smooth operation and expansion of her enterprises without straining manpower. While Xiao Xian initially considered sending Ai home with Mianmian, Xiao Yunduan noted Ai's prior commitments, prompting Mianmian to decline. With Yuezheng Xiao, there was no need for an escort. As rice ripened one after another, farmers began harvesting, aided by Xiao Xian's supernatural abilities which significantly increased yields and accelerated ripening dates. Chapter 1822. Xiao Xian's plan. The rice ripened 6 to 10 days earlier than usual, with harvesting commencing shortly after the Mid-Autumn Festival. By the 20th day of August, the autumn harvest was in full swing, filling the fields with activity and the jubilation of abundance. As they carried loads of golden rice home, families made extra trips compared to previous years. Though the work was heavy and tiring, their hearts brimmed with joy. Gratitude to Lord Xiao abounded in every farming family, with prayers offered to Buddha for his kindness. With a production increase of 30% to nearly 40%, worries about next year's harvest vanished. Lord Xiao was their benefactor, ensuring they would eat their fill even in lean times. In early September, the Fan family's rice fields also saw harvesting. Meanwhile, government-provided rice, already harvested and sun-dried, filled the granaries. This year's farming hiatus arrived unusually early. With Xiao Xian's approval, Songsher began hiring workers to continue exploration efforts. Of the 50,000 mu of mountains, only 5,000 to 6,000 mu had been previously opened. This year, efforts intensified to reclaim the remainder before the new year, aiming to plant everything needed. Seedlings were already under cultivation for the next year, with additional nursery resources secured for Sichuan pepper, star anise, pepper, cinnamon, and more. Madame's plans expanded beyond the existing 50,000 mu. Intent on acquiring another 100,000 to 200,000 mu, she envisioned a diverse landscape of tea plantations, medicinal herbs, bamboo forests, orchards, and poultry farms. Development plans included swamps, ponds for fish farming, and reclamation of fertile land. Only Songshur was privy to these plans, and his excitement was palpable. It presented a golden opportunity for him to showcase his skills, further solidifying his worthiness as the chief steward. Xiao Xian believed this location's proximity to Yuzhang meant its resources were more abundant, making it an ideal site for development and mitigating negative karma. With the road between Yuzhang and Yuzhang slated for repair within 2 years, transportation would vastly improve, reducing travel time from 2.5 days to a mere 2 days. Such progress was commendable. Even if they eventually returned to their hometown, managing businesses here would be effortlessly manageable. Come the end of September, Xiao Yunduan issued a notice for tax collection. Each contributor urged to exercise fiscal prudence. The commoners responded with enthusiasm, swiftly submitting their dues as the document made its rounds. Xiao Yunduan divided Jing Sang, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and A Yi into 2 teams, each tasked with transporting the grains collected from towns to An's province and depositing them into the intermediate granaries in the city, accompanied by additional manpower. With this year's harvest surpassing expectations, the existing granary proved insufficient. Xiao Yunduan dispatched 2 additional scribes to oversee the construction of a new granary. All granaries were situated in the east of the city, prompting Xiao Yunduan to reprove a piece of land in the west for separate storage, deemed safer. As construction commenced on the new granary, old lady Fan and her daughter took to mocking the endeavor. During autumn harvest, mountain bandits from the Min family tribe, Tiger Head tribe, and Liuhe fort traditionally descended to request food. Historically, the 3 prominent families led in supplying provisions, each contributing a set amount for the bandits' transport. An unspoken understanding prevailed among the families, ensuring smooth cooperation without explicit agreement. Chapter 1823, Rules changed in the past. This situation stemmed partly from the government's struggle to collect taxes effectively. Each family's tacit acknowledgement of the mountain bandits' authority served as a means to maintain regional security, indirectly benefiting both the populace and the government. Consequently, tax payments dwindled. However, this laissez-faire attitude among the families led to officials having minimal influence. The lack of accountability allowed the families to become increasingly audacious, while officials begrudgingly acquiesced, unable to assert their authority. Prefect lords sought to distance themselves from this predicament, showing little concern for the issue. Consequently, year after year, the situation grew more peculiar. When Xiao Yunduan jokingly disclosed this to Xiao Xian, she found the situation incredulous, remarking, "Truly, the world is full of wonders." With Xiao Yunduan's arrival, the status quo demanded change. Aside from sharing the matter with his wife in jest, he cautioned her against venturing out. As Jing Sang and their cohorts began escorting public grain, the 3 families, along with other influential households in An's province, approached Deputy Prefect Guan to address the issue. Though everyone was well aware of the situation, they sought to navigate through bureaucratic red tape. Deputy Prefect Guan, keen to stir trouble for Xiao Yunduan, approached him with candor. "Euro, my lord, please don't be vexed. This is the state of affairs in An's province. We're constrained by circumstances. If there were alternative solutions, none would resort to such measures. However, this matter cannot be openly discussed." Euro Xiao Yunduan, composed, responded, "The past is irrelevant to me. Henceforth, heed my directives. Trust that I have devised a plan." "You are astute," Deputy Prefect Guan replied, his smile unyielding. He continued with flattery, "I'm curious about your plan. Why not share it with me? After all, I've been entrenched here for many years. I don't mean to boast, but I possess a deeper understanding of the situation than you." Euro Xiao Yunduan smirked inwardly. Understanding the situation was futile. The issue in An's province was hardly clandestine. Despite his thorough investigation, he had gleaned all necessary insights over time. He doubted Deputy Prefect Guan's superiority in knowledge. Moreover, even if he lacked comprehension, it was inconsequential. Action spoke louder than comprehension. I have devised a strategy, Xiao Yunduan reiterated. I will oversee this matter personally. Deputy Prefect Guan, rest assured. Taxes from across the realm will soon fill the coffers, and you will oversee An's prefecture city and its surrounding towns. Ensure timely delivery of all collected rice to the warehouse. But, my lord, if the banditry issue persists the suburb's 3 towns will remain unaffected. Are those cowards bold enough to assail the city? I think not. Xiao Yunduan spoke truthfully. Bandits targeted passing supply caravans, not urban settlements or their environs. Their resources were finite, limiting their capacity to strike beyond. Should the authorities retaliate, the bandits would abandon their plunder and flee. Chapter 1824, Arrogant Lord Xiao. They were not stupid enough to do something that would obviously not benefit them. However, these words made him feel a little uncomfortable. Coupled with Xiao Yunduan's arrogant tone, it made him feel even more displeased and disgusted. For some reason, Deputy Prefect Guan held back his anger. Yes, since you are confident, I won't say anything else. I believe that Lord has his own, make haste with the tax collection, particularly from the Fan family. Clear? Understood, my lord. Deputy Prefect Guan sneered inwardly. He doubted Xiao Yunduan's grasp of the situation. Did he truly believe he had subdued the mountain bandits with his surprise attack on the Tiger Head tribe? Underestimating the adversary had led to his initial victory. If he insisted on being obstinate, so be it. He would learn the gravity of the situation when adversity struck. Then, he would inevitably come pleading to Jing Sang, Sun Bai, and their cohorts were well prepared. The delivery of the initial batches of provisions proceeded seamlessly. Observing this, Xiao Yunduan appeared smug and arrogant. He publicly posted notices, admonishing the Min family tribe, Liuha Fort, and Tiger Head tribe bandits to surrender promptly. He granted them a 1-month ultimatum. Should they surpass the deadline, he warned of dire consequences. He vowed to purge their mountain strongholds and restore peace to An's province in service to the imperial court. The populace was left dumbfounded. Most regarded Lord Xiao with skepticism. They questioned, has Lord Xiao lost his senses? Was it possible that Lord Xiao's self-satisfaction had driven him to madness? Did he truly believe that his control over these obedient commoners of Great Qin equated to the audacity to provoke bandits who reveled in bloodshed and treated lives as mere blades of grass? Those who were so brash often met grim fates. Aside from mocking and pitying Lord Xiao's naivety, everyone felt as though they were caught in a surreal reverie. It was unprecedented. None of the previous prefect lords had dared to openly provoke the bandits. They were resigned to their grievances, unable to even stand tall. It seemed like a fantasy to all witnessing this turn of events. Old Lady Fan and Fan Rian nearly burst into laughter. Fan Rian sneered, this is rich. Lord Xiao might not last long in An's province. Old Lady Fan nodded in agreement. Perhaps he'd be scared witless by the mountain kings, or worse, something dreadful might befall him. Naturally, he wouldn't linger. Fan Rian seethed, I won't let those Hove use their power to shame our family off the hook. When the time comes, let's see whose influence they'll cling to, especially that scribe Jia back then. She hadn't realized just how vexing this individual could be. Old Lady Fan sneered, her tone dripping with disdain. Such a person doesn't leave himself any room to maneuver. There's no need to dignify him with attention. Just wait and watch. Fan Rian chuckled in agreement. Mother is absolutely right. Confident that Xiao Yunduan's departure was imminent, Old Lady Fan began strategizing anew. Thus, when Deputy Prefect Guan arrived to press the Fan family for taxes, Old Lady Fan resorted to her usual excuses. Traditionally, the Fan family settled their dues in cash, a practice that streamlined affairs in the province, benefiting all parties. This year's tax bill amounted to 7,000 taels of silver. Lord Xiao graciously waived the sum, considering it negligible. Chapter 1825. Bargaining. The Fan family brushed off such a trivial sum with indifference. Even its removal wouldn't assuage their ire or sense of injustice. In the past, their tax obligation amounted to a mere 400 taels of silver. Now, it had ballooned more than tenfold. Old Lady Fan sought to string Deputy Prefect Guan along until the irksome Lord Shao vacated An's province. Naturally, she intended for the tax issue to remain unresolved. But with Lord Shao provoking the mountain bandits, how long would he remain? Deputy Prefect Guan, Old Lady Fan's reasoning struck a chord with Deputy Prefect Guan. He was so bemused by the situation that he almost burst out laughing. If Deputy Prefect Guan sought to stall, it ultimately depended on Xiao Yunduan's tolerance. Xiao Yunduan was adamant, pressing Deputy Prefect Guan for a resolution. He demanded a response by the next day. Failing that, he wouldn't hesitate to take matters into his own hands, personally visiting the Fan family in the postnatal realm. Numerous eyes were fixed on the Fan family. If they shirked their tax duty, how could others be expected to comply? Accusations of bullying the weak and kowtowing to the strong would tarnish his reputation as prefect lord. The dignity he painstakingly cultivated would crumble in an instant. To him, this was an unacceptable outcome. Deputy Prefect was taken aback. He understood Xiao Yunduan's steadfastness. Allowing Xiao Yunduan to approach the Fan family was out of the question. A pang of guilt struck him. What if the Fan family was implicated for concealing 40,000 mu of fertile land? With a heavy heart, Deputy Prefect Guan reluctantly acquiesced. The following day, he paid another visit to the Fan family. Old Lady Fan was naturally reluctant. She couldn't help but scorn Deputy Prefect Guan. It was no wonder he remained stuck in the role of Deputy Prefect despite the constant turnover of An's prefecture's leadership. He was utterly ineffectual. Lord Shao effortlessly manipulated him with mere words. Old Lady Fan insisted that Deputy Prefect Guan see through the delay to its conclusion. Initially disinclined to entertain him, she begrudgingly agreed to remit 500 taels first, with the remainder to follow gradually. Money was tight for the Fan family, making it impossible to gather the sum immediately. Deputy Prefect Guan was incensed. As the esteemed Deputy Prefect, he had debased himself to this extent, only to receive a paltry 500 taels from the old woman. In the past, such an amount would have sufficed. But now, Lord Shao demanded 7,000 taels of silver. How could he justify a mere 500? Was Lord Shao so easily deceived? Who would believe the Fan family's claim of financial hardship? If they were truly cash-strapped, would they not be embarrassed to offer a mere 7,000 taels? To the average person, such an amount would indeed be substantial, but this was the Fan family we're talking about. Deputy Prefect Guan gritted his teeth, suppressing his frustration. He soldiered on, enduring the grind. Old Lady Fan's irritation towards him was palpable. She snapped that she would offer no more than an additional 200 taels a euro, no more. After all, he held a significant position as regional prefect. Was it beyond his capabilities to execute a simple delay? Had his years as deputy prefect amounted to nothing? Deputy Prefect Guan felt suffocated. He had bared his soul, lowered himself to a humiliating extent, all for the sake of securing a meager 200 taels to dismiss the beggar. Aware of Old Lady Fan's stubbornness, he knew she wouldn't yield any further. Defeated, he returned to the government office with a total of 700 taels in hand. He had no choice but to persist with the delay. Chapter 1826. Stunned Deputy Prefect Guan had intended to prolong the situation until day's end, planning to address it the following day. However, upon his arrival at the government office, Qing Yan greeted him with a smile and promptly escorted him to Xiao Yunduan. Before Deputy Prefect Guan could employ his delaying tactics in front of Xiao Yunduan, the latter demanded the return of the funds, rendering any further discussion moot as he swiftly departed for the east courtyard. Anxious to explain himself, Deputy Prefect Guan attempted to enter, but Yes' stern expression halted him in his tracks. Frustrated and indignant, he retreated home, confident that Xiao Yunduan wouldn't dare take action against the Fan family. Little did Deputy Prefect Guan anticipate that Xiao Yunduan would not only summon the two elders of the Fan family to court the next day but also inquire about their concealment of 40,000 mu of fertile land during a previous investigation. Xiao Yunduan had already dispatched investigators to uncover this deception, waiting for the opportune moment to wield it against Thema Euro, a moment that had now arrived. With irrefutable evidence at hand, Xiao Yunduan was poised to expose their deceit. After all, concealing 40,000 mu of fertile land was no small feat and would not go unnoticed. The two elders of the Fan family were left dumbfounded. When Deputy Prefect Guan was presented with the situation, he found himself in a dire predicament. Xiao Yunduan sneered. Deputy Prefect Guan, do you have anything to say for yourself? To ascertain his accountability, signatures confirming the Fan family's land measurements were required. Deputy Prefect Guan's signature adorned these documents. He had intended to deceive the Fan family, but now, others implicated in similar dealings would undoubtedly come under scrutiny. The evidence was damning. Lord Xiao Euro, it was my oversight. Deputy Prefect Guan stammered, momentarily panicked before mustering the courage to admit his error. I was negligent and failed to conduct a thorough investigation. Please forgive me, Lord. He couldn't confess to collusion with the Fan family. He couldn't. Is that so? Xiao Yunduan presented the rechecked data alongside Deputy Prefect Guan's signed documents. His tone turned icy. Then you are gravely mistaken. Not only the Fan family, but the Lu family, the Feng family, the Liang family, and the Zhao family are all implicated. Deputy Prefect Guan, it appears you are inept at managing affairs. I am perplexed. How did you attain the position of Deputy Prefect? Deputy Prefect Guan felt a chill creep into his heart. Shock and anger contorted his expression as he gazed at Xiao Yunduan. He had fallen into Xiao Yunduan's trap. Initially anxious during the investigation, he had awaited Xiao Yunduan's scrutiny, expecting confrontation. Yet Xiao Yunduan had merely glanced over the results without protest, leading Deputy Prefect Guan to breathe a sigh of relief. He had presumed he passed the test and grew increasingly emboldened. He lent assistance to anyone who sought his aid. He assumed Lord Xiao would not have the leisure to return for further investigation. As long as no questions were asked, he believed he would safely navigate the ordeal. However, little did he realize, it was all a meticulously laid trap. An oversight once or twice, or even thrice, might be attributed to carelessness. But to repeat the same mistake with over 10 families? Such negligence couldn't simply be brushed aside. Even if negligence were to be the explanation, it was far from a trivial matter. Deputy Prefect Guan broke out in a cold sweat, rendered speechless by the gravity of his predicament. Your conduct does not befit your position, it's time to relinquish it, declared Xiao Yunduan. My lord. And what of it? Do you have any further defense? Chapter 1827, unable to withstand it at this juncture, Deputy Prefect Guan threw in the towel, his anger palpable as he sneered, this must be a trap concocted by you, isn't it? You've always harbored disdain for me, and you're intent on preventing me from holding the position of Deputy Prefect. Xiao Yunduan's sneer mirrored Deputy Prefect Guan's. Do you truly believe you're fit for the role of Deputy Prefect? Must I recount every misstep you've taken since I assumed leadership? The Deputy Prefect is meant to be the Prefect's right hand, sharing in the burdens. How much have you truly shared with me? There had been no sharing of burdens, only troubles and obstacles. Deputy Prefect Guan vehemently denied it. Lord, you're twisting the truth. Such absurdity. Humph. Deputy Prefect Guan, must I strip you of all dignity? Your transgressions haven't faded from memory. If I were to conduct a thorough investigation, do you truly believe your misdeeds wouldn't come to light? Deputy Prefect Guan's mind raced, his strength nearly failing him. But he couldn't yield. Xiao Yunduan's gaze turned cold, devoid of its usual gentleness. Surrender the Deputy Prefect's insignia and pay a fine of 500 taels of silver. You'll be demoted to the rank of scribe henceforth. Consider it a lenient punishment for your years of service to An's province. Otherwise, you'll face consequences far more severe than those warranted by your actions. Are we clear? If you're not convinced, you're free to decline the role of scribe. Deputy Prefect Guan's world seemed to darken. Meeting Xiao Yunduan's steely gaze, he realized he stood no chance against him. Had the prefect lord anticipated this very moment? He had underestimated him, blaming him for underestimating his adversary. Trapped once or twice before, he had yet to recover. Now, ensnared in Xiao Yunduan's web without warning, he found himself in this dire situation. But it wasn't over yet. Not by a long shot. The bandits of the Min family tribe, Tiger Head tribe, and Liuhe fort would surely make their move. Did Xiao Yunduan believe he could handle these bandits as easily as the law-abiding citizens of Ens province? He would relish watching Xiao Yunduan suffer a crushing defeat and then, head rise again. Thus, he refused to leave the state office. A scribe fine, a scribe it was. Thank you for your leniency, Lord. I erred first. Am grateful for the opportunity to remain a Deputy Prefect Guan swallowed his pride, yielding to Xiao Yunduan. Xiao Yunduan's expression remained impassive. He uttered no further words, neither reprimanding nor chastising Deputy Prefect Guan. Instead, he simply stated, "It's good that you recognize your fault. You may go." Effective immediately, Jia Hemming will assume the role of Deputy Prefect. Ensure a smooth transition. Furthermore, you must vacate the residence within 3 days. With that, Deputy Prefect Guan bowed and exited, his heart heavy with the weight of his defeat. Deputy Prefect Guan's blood rushed to his head. He was embarrassed, hateful, and angry. He swallowed his anger and replied, "Yes." Lowering his head, he turned around and left. Such blatant abuse of power was simply intolerable. Just bide his time. When those bandits from the Min family tribe and Tiger Head tribe inevitably came knocking, Xiao Yunduan would learn what it meant to be brought low. He swore to exact revenge for today's humiliation in the days to come. After seeing off Deputy Prefect Guan, Xiao Yunduan's attention turned to the 2 elders of the Fan family. Slowly, he fixed his gaze upon them. The 2 old masters of the Fan family felt as though needles were pricking their backs, their bodies stiff with apprehension. They stood there, overwhelmed by a sense of dread and confusion. How could they not be afraid? This Lord Xiao was ruthless and unyielding. He had turned against Deputy Prefect Guan without hesitation, stripping him of his position. Could they, and the Fan family, expect any mercy? Chapter 1828. Unable to leave the state office, the first old master Fan was perspiring profusely under Xiao Yunduan's penetrating gaze, his heart pounding with anxiety. "I confess. I'll pay the tax immediately, and for the 40,000 mu of fertile land I overlooked, I'll settle the tax for that too. Please forgive me, Lord," he blurted out. The second old master Fan chimed in hastily, Yes, Lord Xiao, spare me. I won't dare to repeat this mistake." Though they anticipated their mother's inevitable objections and the ensuing chaos, they couldn't afford to be concerned about it now. But would Lord Xiao be appeased without a hefty sum of money? Without it, they wouldn't leave the state office unscathed. What recourse did they have? Despair gnawed at them. To their surprise, Lord Xiao's demeanor wasn't as placid as expected upon their admission and offer of restitution. Instead, he smirked icily, fixing them with a steely gaze. "You two are quite obedient. Only now that Deputy Prefect Guan's duplicity is laid bare and he can't deny it, you suddenly find the courage to confess. But what if Deputy Prefect Guan hadn't been exposed? Would you still come forward? Is that what you believe? Do you truly think this matter concludes here?" Lord Xiao's voice cut through the tense air, his eyes drilling into them. "Do you presume me so easily deceived? That I would allow you to maneuver as you please, advancing and retreating at will?" Cold sweat broke out on the brows of the 2 old masters of the Fan family. Initially confident, they now felt a creeping sense of guilt. They wouldn't admit it before being caught, of course. Even after confessing, Lord Xiao showed no signs of leniency. This prefect was indeed formidable. Xiao Yunduan's tone turned even colder. "I care not for your reasons, only the outcome. To withhold such information is to scorn the court and disrespect me. If I fail to administer severe punishment, what becomes of the court's dignity? What of my authority? How can I maintain discipline? The taxes are paid, and the fine amounts to 1,000 taels. Are you satisfied? The two old masters of the Fan family trembled. Satisfied? Their hearts clenched with pain. It was a hefty blow. The second old master Fan attempted to negotiate. Lord, Deputy Prefect Guan's oversight led to this. He failed to investigate thoroughly. This humble servant was merely negligent, not willfully disobedient. Isn't 1,000 taels too severe a penalty euro? That's correct. This humble servant acknowledges fault, but surely the penalty need not be so severe. 1,000 taels. The mere thought of their mother's reaction sent shivers down their spines. The impending chaos was headache-inducing. Xiao Yunduan brushed off their protestations, his tone icy. There's no room for negotiation. Draft the payment details. I'll send the funds to the Fan family and release you. The two old masters of the Fan family were taken aback. Lord. Escort them out. But, my lord, a euro, if the silver isn't delivered, you won't leave. No further discussion. Xiao Yunduan scoffed. Don't think I'll be fooled by any attempts to delay. The two old masters of the Fan family could only exit, crestfallen. The payment details were swiftly penned. The sum of compensation and fine amounted to a staggering 9,100 taels of silver. The brothers exchanged bitter smiles. 9,100 taels of silver. Would mother part with it so easily? The missive was promptly dispatched to the Fan residence. News of Deputy Prefect Guan's demotion and fine, resulting from collusion with the Fan family to exploit land and taxes, rippled through the government office and soon echoed throughout the city.